National Highways Authority Tuesday directed that the road will be closed over the weekend pending completion of some ongoing roadworks. As the authority pleads for inconvenience caused, motorists are implored to exercise road discipline caution when traversing the affected areas. Tomatoes Tech and Samsung has globally announced the release of the 2022 Galaxy S series range of devices that consist of the Galaxy S22, S22 Plus and Galaxy S22 Ultra. The groundbreaking new editions of the S series feature premium cameras, super-fast connectivity, long-lasting batteries and innovative new ways to share everything. The launch was broadcasted to the world from the tech giant's global headquarters in Korea. In the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signalled an early end to all coronavirus restrictions in England, including the legal requirement to self-isolate for positive COVID-19 cases if encouraging trends continue. Johnson said he would present the government strategy for living with COVID when Parliament returns from a short recess on February 21st. The requirement for those who test positive for coronavirus to self-isolate is currently due to expire on March 24th. Under the current regulations in England, people have to isolate for at least 5 days if contacted by the National Health Service's contact tracers and must provide their addresses and the names of people in their households. Back home, we continue to urge you to continue observing the COVID-19 protocols. Go get inoculated against COVID-19 because remember, COVID-19 is still here with us, and protecting yourself is protecting those that you love, and so that together we win the fight against COVID-19. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us to assert our will.
When the legislators are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi Lokop is Jeshi Lawokov?
I can't say it very well, but you know, Jeshi Lokop.
And everyone knows. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, looks like we're going to see the rumblings of traffic starting really early today. This has started on Jogo Road. We're looking at Thursday, going into the end of the week. We're seeing traffic already on Mombasa Road today. Unfortunately, a truck tipped over, and this is heading towards the junction of the Southern Bypass. So what does that mean? That traffic has already started to build up on Mombasa Road, and this is heading out towards Airtel. So you want to watch out for that. If you're way up ahead on Mombasa Road, you might want to think about using the Southern Bypass via the ICD route. There's an option for you this morning. But let's take a look and see how it develops as we go along, shall we? A little bit of traffic building up on Lighthearted Road. We're also seeing some action happening on the Thika Superhighway, but nothing too painful at the moment. Let's take things as they come. And then let's talk. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Get in touch with us there. Tell us what's going on with you, and text as well on 40127.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
It's the 10th day
only
of
way to
February
start your day.
2022. It is 9 minutes after 6. Good morning. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the Situation Room. Happy first Friday of the week. Ndu,
Yeah.
how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Eh,
Good morning.
good morning. You keeping well?
I am keeping everything well.
Very good. Keep it well. City.
Yes, Eric.
Ujambo.
Sijambo kaka. Hofu kwako?
Hata mimi.
Hofu. What's hofu?
Translation. How are you otherwise?
All that for hofu? Okay.
The direct translation will probably indicate the opposite.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Yes. If you translate what I've just said directly, okay, let me give you a parallel example. When somebody says, get well soon in Kiswahili, they say, ugua pole. Ugua is to be sick. Directly translated, get sick slowly. But the import of it is, please get well soon.
Right.
Yes.
Get sick slowly.
Thanks. How are you, Eric?
I'm very well, thank you.
Super duper.
Yes, I'm happy to be here this lovely morning. Yes.
One more yes.
Yes. Kabisa. It's Thursday. It's Justice Thursday. We'll have a guest at 8 o'clock. So, whenever we are having conversations here about, the Constitution, an act of Parliament, a decision of the High Court, or a decision of the Court of Appeal, a decision of the Supreme Court, and you're doing some background research on it, you quickly go and ask Google to give you one of the top results that's going to come is, say, the Constitution is a website called kenyalaw.org. So kenyalaw.org is where you find all these laws, is where you find the Constitution, is where you find judgments of the various courts, published there, accessible for free, especially if judgments and all. So they are very, very critical. So this is actually done by a state corporation, and the head of that state corporation will be here with us today and tell us, so what is it that they do? How do they go into, say, the High Court and look at a ruling by a certain judge, and how do they then post it? What's the whole point of doing that? So we'll be talking about that, accessing all this information for free as a means of deepening access to justice. Justice Thursday's conversation this morning, plus other conversations we are seeing. Cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, chief administrative secretaries, all of them saying we want to quit office and go seek office. So that leaves very many people having left. So what happens to our government, and then what does that imply? And all these debates. So we'll have all these conversations.
But the beauty of it all, quite aside from that, you will actually find the heart of the government is pumping just okay.
Yes.
So it begs the question, what on earth were all these other people doing?
Must be asked, no?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
For me, that's what's been at the back of my mind. And who actually does what where? Because we have all these numbers, we have all these people. And later we'll look at the headlines and you'll find some headlines stating that, one of the headaches that Uhuru has because some CSs are leaving. Really? Really?
That kind of argument is a spouse dies and the other one continues living. So what really was...
Actually, a spouse dies, and you find the other one is really thriving.
Yes.
So you get the impression, kumbe shida ndio ilikufa.
Or dissolution of marriage and such things.
People thrive, and you
Yeah,
wonder,
yes.
God Almighty.
So,
What sort of torturous position had these people put themselves into?
And why?
okay, so let's talk about COVID in numbers.
Let's look at numbers in Kenya. First of all, from a sample size of 6,126, recorded about 1% ended up positive. That's 60 new cases. Positivity rate now of 1%. It would be nice to get it under that 1%, but that's what we're looking at currently. One recorded death is what we saw yesterday. So looking pretty good in terms of numbers. Flatten this particular curve? Absolutely. Has the wave then hit its crescendo and then come down? Absolutely. Is Ministry of Health happy? One more absolutely? Yes. Are we vaccinating as many people as we'd like to in Kenya and on the continent? Unfortunately, that still remains a no. But it would seem as though, the damage or the waves crashing against the rocks did not have too much damage on the continent. Still continues to be a thing. All right, let's look at what's happening on the other side of the pond. Is ending the last COVID rule brave or stupid? Boris Johnson has dealt with a dilemma. The last remaining COVID restriction in England could be gone in weeks after the Prime Minister announced the legal requirement to isolate after a positive test. And that may be scrapped early. So right now, what you have to do, if you have a positive test, you must isolate for some time. The plan had been to end it on the 24th of March. But if the trends remain positive, Boris Johnson said it could go a month early. So they said, look, 24th is when we're going to hold on to this thing. If we are seeing that cases are dipping, then we're not going to, stamp it on people any longer. The move has taken many experts by surprise, with one describing it as either brave or stupid. As often with COVID, the evidence is unclear. Certainly, questions are being asked about the politics of the move, with the Prime Minister under continuing pressure to open up and allow people their freedom.
Why do they limit to just brave and stupid? Why not prospective?
Well, this is after all England. But there is plenty of positive news in the latest data. As the Prime Minister suggested, hospital cases are falling. Despite the large wave of Omicron infections, overall deaths have not risen above what normally would be seen in winter. Right? New treatments, huge amount of immunity in the population from both vaccination and infection. The risk from the virus is lessening all the time. Other nations are also relaxing their rules around self-isolation. Denmark, for example, requires people to stay at home only if they have symptoms. So you don't have symptoms, walk about, do your business, no problem. The Office of National Statistics monitoring program suggests that they may even be rising again, with about 1 out of every 19 people in England positive last week. So coupled with this, the rise of Omicron, thought to be more transmissible, first identified, caused the Christmas surge. But now they're seeing that things are falling. So, hey, why can't we end things a month early?
Remember, while all these delightfully rosy pictures are being painted, Canada is still in the throes of the issues that they had, and it's escalating.
Indeed. Yes. Ottawa is still hot spot.
Which ones?
Ottawa is still a hot
The
spot.
truckers.
The truckers.
Yes. And remember, they were very strategic. The point at which one enters either Canada or the US, one of the busiest points, is where they went and staged this delightful... So essentially...
It cannot be ignored.
No, forget being ignored. Billions of dollars of business on a daily basis is being interfered with.
Yep.
Yes.
So cannot be ignored.
Even if you want to. This matter has to be addressed differently.
Oh, yes. You can't just, send all those messages of saying, stop hooting, you're honking and causing environmental pollution. What?
They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing. And they knew that this, and they've done something even more interesting. The police have been thinking of taking action, but in many of those trucks, there are also children inside the trucks.
Bas.
So now,
here's the thing. Stop looking at them as truckers. Look at them as families.
Canadians.
They're Canadians. Just not look at them at, these nuisance truck drivers.
Making trouble for me.
See, that is always the problem with profiling, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay? And when you profile, the end game of profiling is dehumanization. They stop being individuals who actually have rights, individuals who have a voice which they want to express, individuals who have a position. And really, speaking purely academically, man, they are expressing rights that they have.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It is 18 after 6. Let's take this break to look at the weather forecast for the day, as we also ask you to say hello online because we're live streaming the show. We'll be doing the roll call shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Are you a woman looking to run for an elective position in the upcoming 2022 general elections? SpiceFM, the home of Kenya's biggest conversation, is inviting you to our studios where you can speak more about your vision and aspirations to an audience of millions of Kenyans as we celebrate women in leadership. For more information, contact us on 0763 969797.
Clear conditions in Nairobi at 18, highs of 27 and lows of 16 today. 14 will be the clear in Nakuru. We're looking at highs of 28 and lows of 14. It's clear in Nyeri as well at 12, highs of 28 and lows of 11. 11 will also be the low in Eldoret, where it's currently clear at 13, and we'll see highs of 26. Partly cloudy conditions at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 32 and lows of 25. While in Malindi, it's partly cloudy at 26. It'll go to highs of 31. 29 will be the high in a clear Kisumu, currently at 21, and we're looking at Kakamega, clear conditions at 20, highs of 30 and lows of 15 today. Mostly clear conditions in Kampala at 20, highs of 26. 31 will be the high in Dar es Salaam. Started out rainy and wet this morning at 27, and we'll go down to lows of 26. Clear conditions at 16 in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 15, while in Lagos it's foggy this morning at 27, highs of 33 and lows of 24. Kinshasa is clear at 24, highs of 34 this morning. We'll see highs of 11 in Beijing, where it's already afternoon. At 5 degrees, it's sunny. We'll see lows of -3. 6 degrees and cloudy conditions in Paris, highs of 10 and lows of 1. London is cloudy at 8, highs of 9, lows of 1. Wednesday night in New York reads 4 degrees and clear. Coming into Thursday, we'll see highs of 7 and lows of 2.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It is
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Abdallah says, good morning, tuned in, locked as usual until the end. Buyayi Marachi Busia. That's where Simon Murakana is this morning. Tune in from Kasarani is where Phyllis Mugi is as well. Jane Jess says she's here. Benson Mumu. Sean is also tuned in. Vincent Ogutu says good morning. Victor says he's tuned in from Siaya County. And Moses Waabi is also present this morning. Quite a lot of folks in the room today. Barasa Simiu says, good morning, good people. Hargeisa is cool. Cool weather-wise or cool everything is all right? Let's just take both. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
He says all ears listening in. Rural Karaoke says Tuko on in Ontario, Canada. Good topic for your new home in Canada, it would appear. Nancy Mwase is tuning from Zambia this morning. And Stanley Gashisan says, good morning. And he's gone deep this morning and says, thunderstorms don't grow roses. They don't?
They don't.
It's nice.
Bekisa Kuto says tuning from Machakos County, and Rafiki Chura is tuned in from United Kiambu this morning as well. MCR is in Kalitini, Mwengi East. Live from Mogadishu in Somalia. Human Malindi tuned in. Dorcas Kimotho says she's wearing her ngongos and carrying her mineral water. She's one of the Warembo. Yeah, Zachary. Malindi chapter. We see you all. Thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Yes. City, the proverb.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
Mbinu hufata mwendo.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A thought is the father of the deed. Or, other people say, the arm follows the pace of the walk.
Indeed.
Mbinu hufata mwendo. Haya. Mbuni hufata mwende.
Kabisa. Ask the question, what is mbuni?
What is mbuni?
What's the biggest relative of a chicken?
Turkey. The biggest relative of a chicken? An ostrich.
There we are.
Oh, Mbuni's ostrich. I've been in a hotel somewhere. I've seen Mbuni room. So Mbuni's ostrich. You know how they have like chewy room and like
Farasilu.
yeah, those ones.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting Simba room.
So you went to Mbuni room.
I didn't go. I said I saw it.
Let's look at the newspaper.
Silly.
Yeah, and this hour. Remember www.standardmedia.ca.
Seeing is believing.
Okay. Now that we're talking about hotels.
And ostriches.
Yes.
And burying your head in the sand.
Bungoma Employment and Labour Relations Court has awarded a chef 1.3 million shillings for unlawful termination of his contract. Justice Jemima Kelly observed that Michael Otieno Ouma, who worked as a consultant chef at Bonito Hotels Limited, where is it?
Burrito, get out. Now you're asking me. I think I know.
Between 2014 and 2017, was entitled.
And do they have an ostrich room as well?
And the chef was making ostrich eggs.
Yup.
So, Ouma seeks salary arrears and other benefits amounting to 1.3 million shillings and has attached and produced the tabulation of the arrears. That hotel did not rebut the amount, according to Justice Jemima Kelly. The court also ordered the hotel to foot the cost of this case. Bonito had contested the demand, arguing that Ouma was a consultant and that consultancy is not employment. The chef was not our employee, but we engaged him for a consultancy service, which is purely commercial in nature and not employment. We paid him a fee and not a salary, which is a feature of the employment contract. Our engagement with him did not provide his specific duties, including benefits like insurance. But Ouma testified that on September 2017, he was asked to proceed on a 3-month unpaid leave due to lack of business. In October 2nd, 2017, while still on unpaid leave, he terminated the consultancy and sued for his arrears. You know, this is one of those issues that are constantly there in the Employment and Labour Relations Court, and especially for small businesses. At what point is somebody an employee? At what point is somebody an intern? At what point is somebody a trainee? At what point is somebody on contract as a consultant? And what is the relationship? You will hear more of these stories.
By the way,
sure.
Not only that, if you're talking about people reaping well from a well-oiled judiciary system,
Yes.
musicians are a step away from earning 52% of sales generated by Safaricom's Skiza Tunes after MPs approved a proposed copyright law during the second reading. Okay, the headline is musicians to get half of Skiza billions as bill sales to last reading. Meaning they have not been getting the monies that are due to them. And now, lo and behold, a law.
So there's a bill now going through Parliament.
Yes.
That seeks to say 52% goes to the copyright holder.
Yes. And you know it has gone through the second reading.
Yes.
So you could third.
Ebu, read the details of the story. That's an
Right.
interesting one.
This means that musicians will earn more from ring-back names if lawmakers pass the Copyright Amendment Bill 2021, sponsored by Homa Bay Women's Representative Gladys Wanga. The bill now awaits the last reading to become law. The bill stipulates the following. That the parties shall share the net revenue from the sale of ring-back tunes, the artists or copyright holders at 52%. The bill also provides that premium rate service providers will get a 7% share of the net revenue from the sale of the ring-back tunes. Telecommunication operators, including Safaricom, Airtel and Telcom, would be entitled 16% of net revenue. The object of the bill is to provide for a fair formula for sharing of revenue from ring-back tunes between artists or copyright holders and the telecom companies, Ms. Wanga said in the memorandum. This revenue sharing has been a bone of contention among sector players. Under the old sharing formula, artists would get 16%, 25% goes to tax, 25% rather goes to tax, while Safaricom retained 51%. Safaricom later adjusted the artist's share to 40% of the proceeds. The proposed law pushes this past the 50% mark.
It's brilliant. It is very good. It is very good. However, see, 52% goes to the copyright holder. 7% goes to the PRSP.
Yes.
That makes it 59%. 16% goes to the telco. 59 plus 16, quick math.
75.
Mathematic.
75.
Mathematic. 25%
Serikal.
That also needs to be looked at. Because surely.
Why don't they take 16% of what they take for VAT?
Because they're putting VAT and excise
together, so it comes 25.
Imagine.
It's not difficult to imagine because it's not difficult to imagine. I mean, the glass ceiling broke a long time ago.
In terms of what they can or cannot do.
Yes, I mean, in terms of whether they're going to be taxed or not.
Yeah.
You don't even wait with bated breath. It will happen. They somehow, every time you hear supplementary this, paying for this, there'll be a tax somewhere along the line that is supposed to actually pay for this and this and the other. So it isn't new. And I think our current Minister for Finance seems to have understood this formula well. So he's not even resigning. Him is still remaining.
Yeah.
He said, let's work on this thing.
Yes.
You don't want to bring somebody new. It might upset things.
Yes.
A guy who has arrested this thing nicely and understands how to add to the miseries of Kenyans in such a profound way must remain in his position.
It's a good one. Let's take a break and take a look at traffic. It's a good thing. It's a very good move if it actually sails through, because it means that the copyright holder is the biggest beneficiary for their work. And there are very many people who subscribe to these Skiza tunes and ringback tunes and all, right? And it would be a very good revenue stream for copyright holders. It's 6:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. What's happening on the roads? Ndu will tell us shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
5,000 kilometers of unforgiving terrain across Kenya. Classic rally machinery puts through their paces by the best drivers across the globe. That's right, the toughest rally in the world is back with a bang. The East African Safari Classic Rally flags off on the 10th of February in Naivasha. Follow 9 days of pure motorsport action with stages on the 11th and 12th in Nanyuki, 13th to the 15th in Amboseli, 16th in Savo, 17th and 18th in Watamu, where only the strongest pairing man and machine will cross the finish line. Stay updated on all the events on KTN Sports, Standard newspaper, or follow the Standard social media pages across all social media platforms and feed your need for speed.
Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and Spice FM and Sarit, your city, are teaming up to ensure you usher in this season of love in style. Join me, Edward Quach, on the Spice Drive from 3 p.m. every weekday to stand a chance to win vouchers from Hotpoint and Safaricom, all for the price of finding out more about Sarit, your city's season of love and the activities, discounts, and offers they have in store for you and your loved ones. Usher in the season of love only at Sarit, your city.
So what are we looking at? It's building up on Jogoo Road this morning, going out into the city. Langata Road has also started to do the thing. Getting to the roundabout at Kamkunji is where we'll see some action today, feeding off of Landis Road. Gong Road looks pretty good, as does Kenyatta Avenue. Uhuru Highway is just starting to pick up, especially where you have roundabouts. Thika Superhighway is what's doing the magic this morning. in this sense that there was nothing, and then now there's a lot of traffic and it's going past the Utali Drift, inching closer and closer towards the drive-in and then the junction with Outer Ring. Even beyond that, we have some traffic going all the way far back as Zimmerman today, moving very, very slowly on the Thika Superhighway. What's going on Mombasa Road? A little bit of traffic here and there is feeding off onto Outer Ring as well, coming through Cabanas, but we see that hold up right from the Weybridge. Remember, there's that truck that overturned on Mombasa Road. This is just opposite Airtel, and they're trying to take that out of the way, but it's going to cause some traffic. So be prepared. If you're well ahead, you might want to use the diversion at ICD and then use the Southern Bypass so that you do not get stuck in the drama that is on Mombasa Road currently. All right, shall we talk? Let's do it. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Minutes to 7.
So, people have taken their laundry to court. This is interesting. Yeah. A man and his wife are to face off in a 10 million shilling theft case. A man has lost a case challenging 10 million shillings theft charges in a company row with none other than his wife. Peter Minor had sought to throw out the case, arguing that his wife was using the courts to press him to forfeit his stake in their company. Mr. Minor moved to the High Court in Nairobi after he was charged before a magistrate. Minor and Kellen Jockey are directors of Standard Supplies Limited. According to the court documents, Minor took away some company equipment following disagreements with his wife. However, he argued that since their marriage had gone sour, the wife filed a matrimonial property case in a family court to claim a share of the company. He said, please do this instead of this, what you are doing. However, Justice Anthony Mrima threw out Minor's case, ruling that the complainant was the company and not his wife. It now follows that the contention by the petitioner relating to his marriage with Kellen is a non-issue in this matter. I say so because the same was not pleaded in the petition, and as much as it did not crystallize to be an issue for determination, and further than that, the complainant in the criminal case is the company and not Kellen. So what did she do? Company is suing husband, not me. Has nothing to do with our relationship. You took things from the company. Company is complaining
that you took things from it.
By law, a company is a person. That little detail.
Okay. The verdict now paves the way for a court battle between Minor and his wife, who will be a star witness in the theft case. It emerged that the criminal court had prevailed upon Minor and Jockey to reach an out-of-court settlement. Sergeant Timothy Wanyonyi, the investigating officer, told the court that on October 4th last year, Standard through Jockey lodged a complaint that their company premises had been broken into and items stolen. Wanyonyi added that although the magistrate court ordered that the machines and items in dispute be kept in a neutral place, Minor did not comply with the orders, but instead moved to the High Court. Jockey admitted that she is married to him and that they have 2 children. She, however, asserted that she had a right to sue any person to protect her rights and that of her company. She pointed out that Standard was the complainant. It also emerged that the dispute was more than the company affairs. Jockey claimed that he had been taking care of 1 child and asked to be compelled to pay half the rent for the building in which the company's properties are being stored as exhibits. According to her, she agreed to pay the rent because she thought it was a temporary measure. But Minor claims that the Standard had not rented the premises and that it was his wife's personal decision to pay. He claimed that the machines he carried away were brought through a loan being serviced by his uncle. According to Minor, he removed the items after Jockey threatened to kick him out of the business premises. At the same time, he claimed that he had tried to reconcile with Jockey, as urged by the criminal court, but in vain. He stated that he had involved relatives and friends, but all efforts had failed, and Jockey is now taking him to court on criminal charges.
See, on a criminal.
On a criminal.
You know, I wonder, do we read of such cases if the business that the 2 or any people are involved in is actually a failing business?
Oh.
Nope. Not yet.
Yes, because it appears this business is viable, but it also appears that whatever domestic issues that this couple have now been brought
to the biashara.
Yes, And the money issue here has taken center stage because the two aren't clearly getting along.
Yep.
This isn't the whole story.
It isn't. Man claims, we've been running a biashara together. Then one day, wife threatens to kick him out.
Just right there.
Yes.
How? Just threatens out of the blue?
Threatens to kick him out. He says, there's a machine that my uncle is paying for.
The loan for. So, you're kicking me out.
I'm taking that one.
Things.
Ni ya pande yetu ya familia. City.
Yes.
It's the 10th. 18 more days till the end of February, right? And then we get into March. And then the expressway start being Nyeri. Okay? Not only that, 3 months, in 3 months' time, the first phase of the bus rapid transport system between Kasarani and the Kenyatta National Hospital will be launched.
When?
See, in July.
3 months.
In 3 months' time. The government says it will initially roll out a pilot in which 100 high-capacity buses will be deployed on Thika Road between Kasarani and the KNH. Housing and Urban Development PS Charles Hinga said the Thika Road, referred to as BRT Line 2, will be implemented in 2 phases that will be preceded by the pilot or inception phase in July. After the pilot, the Nairobi Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Namata, will implement the first phase that will expand BRT to run from Ruiru to KNH with 300 buses. A second phase will later extend the line to run between Kano in Murang'a County to Ongatarongai in Kajiado County. Infrastructure for the inception phase that was launched this year is 70% complete. It wasn't launched this year. It was launched last year. 70% complete. Those things in the middle of the highway on Thika Super Highway. Then they're written BRT station.
They've said it is 70%.
Okay. Hinga says the first phase is divided into the pilot inception phase that starts at Kasarani, and then phase 1 will start from Ruiru, a distance of about 27 kilometers. When fully operational, we'll need 660 buses for BRT Line 2. Fully implemented from Keno to Rongai. 660 buses. Okay. Namata had earlier this month invited manufacturers to bid for the supply of the 112-meter buses. Local vehicle assemblers have in the past been up in arms when the government had an initial plan to import the BRTs from South Africa. But Hinga said local firms can bid to supply the vehicles, but adds that while there are provisions for local content, the government will not compromise on quality. The Namata has already published the standards, and the authority specified that it does not want buses that run on fossil fuels, but wants those running on biodiesel, hybrid, that is running on biodiesel and electricity, or full electric buses. But the PS is saying the initial batch will run on biodiesel, but the government is looking at operating fully electric buses once the power infrastructure is in place. Biodiesel is green, and there's a program to do biodiesel in the country. But before this is ready, we'll be importing. Namata will be championing green technology. So July, 100 buses, green buses, running on biodiesel. No petrol station needed.
Okay.
What
I wonder is...
Kasarani to KNH.
What I wonder is...
You wonder.
This Nairobi Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Namata. I am still not clear about the role of those who've been in this transportation business, the matatu business. What their role is and what role they're going to play in this new setup that is being proposed.
They are at liberty to bid. You come together, you bid. See, it's a free market economy.
No, it's not.
Come together, bid. In the meantime, remember what the PS told us, is that the idea here is to remove matatus between Kasarani and town and KNH. So the Kasarani area next to the Moi sports complex, they're putting together a bus stop. Come there, park your vehicle, board matatu, not board BRT. Mujini.
You know.
Matatus come and terminate there.
Yes. Everything about this has to do with the fueling of those buses, the route they're going to follow. But it doesn't. Have you read of an article where they're talking about how they're going to engage people who've been stakeholders in this industry for the longest time? I ask this question because there's hardly anything of significance that happens in this country without there being a shadow of doubt being cast on the opaqueness of that particular discussion.
I think, to be fair, I've actually, even before this administration, the issue of BRT and looking at how we can have a BRT system in this country has been a conversation for many years in government. People who are in the industry, this includes the Matatu Owners Association and the Matatu Welfare Association, have accompanied government delegations to go to Bogota and to other places, which have successfully rolled out BRT.
Yes, they have.
That means that they have been part of a conversation.
Yes, they have.
Now, if you're players in this industry and you can see this is the future that we are going into, the question would be, what has the Matatu sector done to prepare itself for the transition?
For this transition.
The Matatu sector...
I mean, they can't just wait to be told, now,
from tomorrow,
please, what we're going to do is we're giving you a loan, you bring the buses. No, what have they done?
No, it isn't that. These are businessmen.
Yes.
And they are the ones who actually, one could argue, are the business in this human transportation business that we're talking about. Okay? Why I keep bringing up the issue of discussion is not that they were not involved or they haven't been engaged. No. I bring in this discussion because, like many other plans that the government has, beautifully planned, beautifully spoken of, beautifully intended, all right? If all the dots
are not crossed,
yes, under the T's dotted.
Yes.
That one. Okay. All we are doing is fermenting a situation where we are going to have disagreements. That is really all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing it as an opportunity to streamline this business. So long as the Matatu industry understood that the government was not going to implement it, they were going to continue business as usual. Remember, there was a time when they said they want to phase out these 14-seaters and bring in bigger buses. How did that go?
Didn't really go too well.
Yes, exactly. So all I'm saying is we've heard of these plans before. And a comprehensive statement and discussion about how everybody in that industry is playing a part. Options that they have. If they don't take it, that is, as we say, their own showry.
Yes.
Okay? But a discussion that is, yes, it ought to be there. So that when people like myself choose to open our mouths and discuss this thing, I'll be told, excuse me, why didn't you read this thing?
But Siti, remember, you asked that question to P.S. Hinga.
That is the reason why I'm bringing it up again.
And he said that the meetings have been held with these stakeholders.
Yes.
And they've even discussed the timelines.
Eric, it is because we had that discussion that I'm bringing this issue up again. I'm reading these articles and I am not seeing that discussion being mentioned. People depend on the Matatus.
Yes.
Okay? So, it's not just the Matatu owners you're talking to. You are talking to people who use this mode of transportation.
Yes.
And I'm saying inform them comprehensively about what is about to happen. All you've done is told us one side of the story. This is what the government is going to do.
Yes.
We've got it.
Next.
Yes. That's all.
Okay, it's 14 minutes to 7. Let's take this quick break and then we'll be back looking at other headlines shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
What does Valentine's mean to you? Is it a day to celebrate love, Singles Awareness Day, or just another day on the calendar?
I don't need a 14.
Whichever it is, we're gonna have a good time at Love and Laughter, happening on the 12th of February at Tamarind Hotel. Join us with your squad, your partner, or just by yourself, and enjoy dinner and a fun night with performances from Atemi and DJ Absolute, and entertainment courtesy of Teacher Wanjiku, hosted by Spice FM's Barbara Mbaka. Tickets are available on ticketsasa.com for only 4,000 Kenya shillings per person or 7,000 shillings for two. And if you don't want the fun to end, you can spend the night at a special rate of 20,000 Kenya shillings that includes breakfast and late checkout. Dress code red and gold. Log on to ticketsasa.com to book your ticket now. and let's make memories at Love and Laughter.
Are you a woman looking to run for an elective position in the upcoming 2022 general elections? SpiceFM, the home of Kenya's biggest conversation, is inviting you to our studios where you can speak more about your vision and aspirations to an audience of millions of Kenyans as we celebrate women in leadership. For more information, contact us on 0763 969797.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay, at 12 minutes to 7.
So there was the case of the Kianjokoma brothers. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, not was. Still present.
Still going on.
Still going on. It was a sad moment for a friend of the slain Kianjokoma brothers as he narrated their last moments together. John Muga Ndu spoke of the pain of losing his childhood friends Benson Dwiga and Emmanuel Mutura Dwiga through what is suspected to be police extrajudicial killings just hours after they had met in a local joint to while away the evening. He was saying this in court. I did not believe that my friends, age mates and schoolmates had died. I was confused when I received the news of their death when we had just met with them the previous night. Njiru and Mutura were allegedly killed on the night of August 1st last year, but the pain of their deaths was evident in Njiru's voice as he recalled their last evening together. The 19-year-old was the first witness in the case in which police officers Benson Muthui, Consolata Nyeri, Martin Wanyama, Nicholas Sang, Lillian Chirona and James Moneke are facing trial over the murders in Kianjokoma village in Embu North sub-county. According to Njeru, he schooled with Mutura, who was his age mate. He recalled how him and Mutura fed dogs after school. He said that on that day, at around 7:30 p.m., he received a call from Njiru asking his whereabouts since they had something to discuss. He said that they had closed their pork butchery and wanted to meet. He told the court they decided to go for a few drinks at the nearby bar, but the two brothers were hesitant, fearing hangovers the next day at work. He said that around 10:01 p.m., they left the club and were walking home when they noticed a police vehicle. Njiru told them to run to escape the police, who were enforcing COVID rules. We started running back, but Emmanuel tripped and fell. His brother Benson went back to encourage him to continue running, while I went a few meters and hid in a ditch. From his hideout, he saw a police officer with a club walking towards Mutura, and when he caught up with the other brother, Njiru, he started hitting him with a club before bundling him into the police vehicle. Fearing for his life, Njiru sneaked back home, which was just 3 minutes walk from the brothers. The next morning, he received a call from the two brothers' father, asking if he knew where they were. He explained what had happened the previous night, prompting the family to commence a search at the police station. Witness testimony in the ongoing case.
Wow. So he says he saw it happen.
He says he saw it happen, yes.
He was hiding somewhere.
He was hiding in the ditch.
Yeah, it changes the course of this conversation completely.
Completely. Because this is somebody who saw, and this is his testimony. It's damning.
Let's see what the defense lawyers do when they now come to cross-examine him. Whether they'll be able to deconstruct what he's saying, or whether they actually he'll be able to stand by what he's saying.
The real tragedy in all these cases is that the court of public opinion has already determined who is guilty and who isn't.
It has. Yes, fortunately.
Hey.
Still a heavy one to deal with.
Yeah. With just a few months to the general election, Migori County Assembly members have impeached their speaker, Boaz Okoth, of allegations of gross misconduct. He's accused of breaking into the finance office and stealing files. I will repeat. The Speaker of the County Assembly of Migori is accused of breaking into the finance office of the County Assembly of Migori and stealing files. The angry MCAs impeached him yesterday in a motion to kick the Speaker out after they accused him of holding the County Assembly captive by his actions. They say Okoth had made it difficult for them to perform their oversight role. The MCAs accused the Speaker of fighting members opposed to him. Even though we're just a few months before the next election, we are still determined to do what it takes to ensure sanity in the County Assembly, according to Kanyamkago MCA Peter Mijungu. At the same time, the MCAs accused Okoth of delaying their salaries. They also accused him of high-handedness and trying to change assembly committees without following established procedure. So this man basically, a total of 46 MCAs stand up during the session and 11 skipped. 2 abstained from voting, 2 voted no, 42 voted to
Outer.
home.
Get outer.
Home.
You know, this gentleman was himself an MCA.
Uh-huh.
But this finance department in Migori seems to attract a lot of calamities.
I'm telling you.
There was a time it
burnt
actually
down.
burned out. Yes, it did.
It touched itself.
It appears so. And then it's now resurrected and files are allegedly being taken by the... this has nothing to do with files. It has nothing to do with... These quarrels among politicians has to do with resources, to put it mildly. It always is.
The man actually has been taken to court even.
It
on
can
a
go
particular theft charge. On February 3rd, he was taken to the High Court in Migori alongside 7 others for breaking into the office of Principal Finance Officer Evans Ogutu. However, the Kaler MCA Thomas Akungo and Kacheng's Brian Osodo threw their weight behind the speaker, saying he was not given an opportunity to defend himself. He had also not pleaded guilty to the charges. When the speaker was arraigned in court alongside the 7 co-accused, he denied the charges of breaking into the assembly finance offices and stealing 3 computers, 2 CPUs, 1 monitor, some files.
Okay. You know, again, every time there are these quarrels that come up and end up in court, it has to do with resources. All these administrative issues of, he's standing in our way, he's doing this, interpret it as there's something that should be coming our way which hasn't, and we're blaming him. And him is not a person.
No.
Him is an entity. Him and so 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 who seem to be benefiting from this thing alone.
He's representative of an institution.
Yes, and leaving us behind. It is resources. It always is resources.
Final story before we go to the top of the hour.
UK chain chicken cottage enters Kenya.
Atake.
UK-based fast food chain,
cottage.
UK food chain chicken cottage.
The chain is called Chicken Cottage.
Yes.
Voila.
Yes.
All right.
It's a chicken chain.
Yes, it's not a red lorry, yellow lorry situation. And just as it's called. UK-based fast food chain Chicken Cottage plans to open 50 outlets at Haas Petroleum service stations in Kenya and the rest of the East Africa this year, it announced yesterday. The company, which operates Britain's largest halal fast food chain, said it will open the outlet in a partnership deal with Express Kitchen, a subsidiary of AAH Limited. AAH is, in turn, the majority shareholder of Haas Petroleum Group, which operates 150 petroleum stations in 10 African countries under the franchise deal. Chicken Cottage, that runs 75 restaurants across Europe, Africa, Asia, and Middle East, will open outlets at the Haas properties in Kenya alongside Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, starting with Nairobi in April. There have been things starting. Expressway, March, Chicken Cottage, April. Give it another 3 months.
BRT
July.
Give it another 3 months. Elections.
Yes.
Imagine.
This year, it's a busy year.
It's a very busy year.
It's a very busy year. And just a couple of days ago, on the 8th, 2 days ago, the 8th of February, was a Safer Internet Day. That was on Tuesday.
Yes, it was. And so what is that? So the Communications Authority of Kenya marked the day with the launch of Cyber Soldiers. Now, you ask, what is that? It's a safe and easy, fun way for kids to learn about the threats that they see on the internet, because we know that the internet is a whole dangerous jungle of stuff, especially for kids who are, underage. Cyber Soldiers is available to play for free on the Communications website, and it's best played by phone or tablet. So you can teach our kids, young and old, how to recognize threats on the internet and then what to do if you then see a threat. The objective of the game is to learn how to deal with online threats and vulnerabilities, and you can learn how to log on to that.
Yeah. So, parents and kids access this game and the online safety tips. This is how you do it. Visit the Communications Authority website, and this is ca.go.ke. www.ca.go.ke. Cyber.ke. You'll get onto the homepage, select campaigns, and then click on the tab for either Play Cyber Soldiers or Child Online Protection. Play Cyber Soldiers or Child Online Protection. So when kids are able to actually get this, they are learning about safety on the internet.
Right.
And there are very many threats, like you said. It's a minefield. Very many threats on the internet. And this is an initiative by the Communications Authority to make sure that we have safer internet for our children. You need to know what your children are consuming online. They are exposed to very many threats. People who could be scamming them, people who could also be just luring them into bad behavior or luring them into crime and criminal activity, or even people who could just be trolling them.
Yeah.
And especially that cyberbullying is a very, very, very big thing.
Indeed.
Especially for this young generation, because they get really affected. You can actually just sit there and find that your child is getting cyberbullied. You just didn't know.
You didn't know about it.
They're just not able to tell you, or they're not even able to identify
Voice
that
it.
this is cyberbullying. They just know that they are being taunted. It's like bullying in school, just that here there's no parent to tell. So how do you deal with that? So visit www.ca.go.ke, select campaigns, and click on the tab for either Play Cyber Soldiers or Child Online Protection. So this is an initiative by the Communications Authority. Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako. Keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour in the Situation Room. Remember, at 8 o'clock, Justice Thursdays, we have a guest joining us in the studio. But in the next hour, let's look at what is happening and reflect the conversations around us, around the country, around the world. Even at some point, looking at what's happening between the US and Russia. Have they decided, Ukraine is going to be our new battleground? And why? Good morning to you. It's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Leaders allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga have told off Deputy President William Ruto for his consistent attacks on the head of state. The leaders, while on a campaign tour of Siaya County, called on their supporters to use their numerical strength on August 9th to elect former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as President Kenyatta's successor.
It is an election in which we are going to teach William Ruto a lesson of his life. Nataka munihakikishie mutaingia shamba kwa shamba, nyumba kwa nyumba, dirisha kwa dirisha, mlango kwa mlango, mama kwa mama, kura zipigia Raila Amolo.
With Odinga out of the country, the Azimio campaign teams directed their attacks to Deputy President William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza Alliance over what they termed as sustained verbal attacks on President Kenyatta. These as President Kenyatta bid farewell to outgoing State House Chief of Staff Nzioka Waita, who has stepped down to venture into politics. Waita announced his intention to resign as he declared his interest to vie for the Machakos governorship. According to a statement by the presidential press, the head of state accepted Waita's resignation, lauding him for his 7-year service as the head of the presidential delivery unit. Now, Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi has thanked Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya for his decision not to resign from his state position to pursue a career in politics. Munya, who has previously shown his intention to go head-to-head with Murungi for the Meru Governor's seat, refuted claims that he was poised to tender his resignation in order to pursue the elective seat in the August general election, while ceding that Munya would have likely become his main competitor in his attempt to defend his position at the polls. Murungi admitted that the task has become considerably straightforward now that the CS has opted to pull out of the race.
We understand very elaborate campaign, and what we said before, because this is going to be my last campaign, I'm going to throw everything to it to ensure that I win again. So if my brother has made my life easier, then it's a gift to me from God. So I want to thank him and the promise that we are going to work together. This gives us an opportunity to work without stress, to make Meru great.
Education CS Professor George Magoha has said that the preparations for the national examinations for Standard 8 and Form 4 is in the final stages of printing. Magoha has continued to criticize those complaining about the printing of exams in the UK, saying the proposal for national exams to be printed in the country would be marred by fraud.
Those who are so keen on printing the examination papers here will be honest with themselves. At this time, our integrity status as a nation is still wanting. And even our political leaders should know that. So they should stop making too much noise. I'm just doing what I have to. But the government is carrying this through the competency-based curriculum.
Now, Magoha also assured the students in remote areas will sit their exams without hitches, as the government will not allow students to walk more than 5 kilometers to reach examination centers. He said the government has ensured that the exam centers are located at least 3 kilometers from where the students live to improve their environment for the exams. KCPE is scheduled to start on March 7th to 10th, while the KCSE is scheduled for March 11th to April 1st. A total of 1,225,693 candidates will sit their KCPE, and another 881,026 will sit the KCSE exams. Now, motorists plying the Muthui-Kiambu Road 2 will be required to seek alternative routes for about 3 days beginning Saturday. A notice by the Kenyan National Highways Authority directed that the road would be closed over the weekend pending completion of some ongoing roadworks. As the authority pleads for inconveniences caused, motorists are implored to exercise road discipline, caution when traversing the affected areas. Internationally, and the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has signalled an early end to all coronavirus restrictions in England, including the legal requirements to self-isolate for positive COVID-19 cases if encouraging trends continue. Johnson said he will present the government strategy for living with COVID when Parliament returns from a short recess on February 21st. The requirement for those who test positive for coronavirus to self-isolate is currently due to expire on March 24th. Under the current regulations in England, people have to isolate for at least 5 days if contacted by the National Health Services contact tracers. It must provide their addresses and the names of people in their households. This, as we continue urging you to go get vaccinated against COVID-19 so that together we may win this fight against the disease. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
At a few minutes after 7 o'clock, what does it look like on these Nairobi streets? We're looking at the Kisumu highway that has built up quite considerably. It's going past that junction at the drive-in. Coming off of Kiambu Road, it's in and outbound traffic as it is on Limuru Road this morning. Not so bad on Juja Road, a little bit of a trickling here and there. Then getting from Outer Ring towards towards Mombasa Road and also towards Thika Super Highway, not too bad. Manyanja Road is piling up and it's done so, and then connecting with Jogo Road this morning. Coming off of Mombasa Road, it's quite heavy, folks, and we're looking at this because of that accident that took place really early this morning. That truck is said to be out now, but we're dealing with the dregs of that drama. Coming from the SGR as well, you'll see some traffic today, all the way that has tailed back to Sabaki. The Southern Bypass looking pretty good today, so folks, use it. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This.
It is 7 after 7. Good morning. It's the second hour of the show this morning, and we are live on SpiceFM, live online on YouTube and Facebook. CT has the day's proverb.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
A thought is the father of the deed.
So what is mbinu?
It's actually plan. Yes. What people refer to as a mpango.
And the mwendo?
Mwendo is msafara. Journey. Walk. Remember, I'm dealing with synonyms here.
Yes.
Some could say mbinu is strategy. Yes,
okay. It's preceded by a thought. Yep.
Is mwendo actually, John is saying, mwendo is pace.
It's pace.
Pale Dar es Salaam kuna mabasi ya mwendo kasi.
Pace.
Mabasi ya mwendo kasi.
Fast buses. Kasi speed.
Okay.
It's Tanzania's BRT.
All right.
Rolled out many years ago and they moved on. You guys are still here saying 70% complete in 6 months' time. Oh, we are building the bus stops. Oh,
agri-friendly fuel.
Go to Dar, BRT, and they have preferential treatment on the roads that they use.
Yes, they do.
In this country, like you're saying, City, where we are talking about now, introducing those buses, they have got to be green buses when they come in, biofuel or hybrid or fully electric. And hybrid is not diesel and biofuel. No, hybrid is biofuel or electric. And then electric. So diesel, petrol, no. Not even jet fuel.
Not even jet fuel.
Nope. And the question is, what happens to the matatu industry that has been operating in this section for a while?
Right. You know, this story has been told alongside something that's been that's actually been happening in the motor vehicle industry. Remember, I once mentioned to you my shock and horror when I boarded a taxi from the airport.
Yes.
And the person told me it used gas. I asked him, what? My exact question said gas, LPG. I said, hey. I said, and where's the LPG situated? Said it's somewhere at the back. So I said, okay, I'm safe sitting in the front here. I was thinking of that canister of gas and in a car. I mean, it was the first I'd heard of it. But apparently that technology had been in Kenya for quite some time. And it was very instructive. That gentleman explained to me how it works, how they do it, what it's done in the industrial area, the whole story.
Yes.
When I took a keen interest, I discovered that we even have setups in this country where you can convert a petrol, a combustive engine in with an electric one.
Yep.
Hey, and I thought, goodness gracious me, is this not fascinating?
Yep.
Now, alongside this story of the BRT, on page 16 of the Business Daily, it actually furthers this conversation. And there have been snippets of information about companies, some of them startups, that are increasing in number in this country, focusing on this very same technology, electric technology. There's one called Kenya Electric Vehicle Startup. Basi Go has raised let me get the figure right. In Kenya shillings, 488 million for this very same thing. The company said it will use the funds to accelerate the shift to electric vehicles by public transport operators by setting up a local assembly for buses. Now, when I read this story, I said, okay, you're setting it up for buses. Can you not set it up for matatus?
It will obviously develop into that.
Yes. And thinking of the conversation we're having about including the Matatu Business Association and other like-minded transport operators into this. Buses, I understand, economies of scale, huge vehicles, carries many people, perfectly understandable.
Yes.
However, before we get to an optimum point where they can actually meet the transport needs of, say, a city like Nairobi, the role that is being played, the Matatu, cannot be ignored.
Yes.
So, what role are they going to play?
I think if you just think about, so the pilot will have 100 vehicles.
100.
When it's complete, you have at least 660 buses, right? Plying one route. That means that along that thicker superhighway, you have buses just moving.
Yes, you do.
Going all the way to Rongai, back. That's one line. You have the other lines. We know Mombasa Road is another line. Jogoo Road is a line. Juja Road is a line. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers that they've been given. But this first one is line 2.
Yes.
Thika Road to KNH is line 2. Now, the question that I hear you asking is, is the current matatu industry, matatu sector, being factored in the rollout of the BRT?
Yes.
I translate that question to, should the matatu sector receive some sort of affirmative action or preferential treatment in the rollout of the BRTs? Am I right?
You are right.
Okay. Why should they get preferential treatment?
I think, let me define preferential treatment in this instance and what I mean by it.
Yes.
If there is a conversation that is taking place and there are already players in the industry, it means there are people who have knowledge. It is knowledge that we need if we are to ensure that this particular aspect of our economy is catered for adequately.
Yes.
Preferential treatment means when you are talking about conversions of vehicles, when you are talking about routes, I am certain, just like BRT will have a certain route, preferential, okay? This is theirs. Matatus will have the rest, and they can combine with other road users.
Yes.
What I'm saying is this. Where's the conversation of telling them, folks, in order to meet the new requirements, your vehicle would need to be converted. That's where preferential treatment comes in. Preferential doesn't mean you don't pay for it. It just means you're given terms that are easy for you to be able to make that move, but you still pay for it.
Easier than a new player? Or easier than everybody else?
No. Easier because you want to convert, you want to be green, but you still want to provide adequate transportation for your citizens. And while we are piloting, the pilot will meet some transport needs, but not all transport needs. So the matatu players will still be there. Now, if you are serious about going green, what is the use of piloting green and allowing these other players to continue using what they've been using when there's an opportunity for them to also go green? Because we're talking conversion. That's really what I'm saying.
And the introduction of going green meant that there was some kind of cost that you were taking towards protecting the environment.
Yes.
That's one thing. So if you really are very interested in that, and that is one of your sticking points, then everybody else who is plying those routes has to then be, eased slowly but properly into the same system.
Yes.
Because then it doesn't make sense. You're saying this is a new form of transport. This is a preferred form of transport. But then everybody else who's been doing whatever they've been doing for the last 50 years still continues. It doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive.
Actually, I think that's not the rollout. The rollout, so let's look at BRT and what Namata and the PS for housing has told us so far. So BRT, starting just with the Kasarani to KNH, it means that plying between Kasarani and bringing people into the CBD will now be restricted to the BRTs. Okay? Of course, the buses from Garissa and Modogashe will still be coming and bringing people to their stage. And even the ones from Nyeri and Laikipia and Meru will still come. But the town operating buses, the ones that currently have a number, what's the number for Kasarani?
I have no idea.
The number for Kasarani. Basically, we are saying that number for Kasarani now terminates somewhere else at Kasarani Sports Complex from the estates, and then the BRT now brings the people to town. What are you doing? You are decongesting the road, Thika Superhighway, and for you to decongest, you say that we are now saying that these are the buses that are going to operate, and we shall also give them preferential space on the road. That pink, yellow, whatever number line that had been drawn by James Macharia 7 years ago.
Yeah, the faded red line.
The faded one.
Yes.
That one. So they have a specific lane close to the bus stop.
Yes.
And they're the only ones that use that.
Preferential treatment.
You see? So the operator of this is not being picked in a closed tender system. The operator for this, we have said that the operator is going to be this kind of company. One, you must have this kind of infrastructure buses. Those buses must be this long. Those buses must be this high or this low so that they work with the platform at the bus stop, right? Those buses must be able to carry X number of passengers. And the additional one is, because we are looking to the future, those buses will need to be green as we are going into the future. Everybody today, CT, our company, we can bid for those. You run a matatu, because matatu operators are individuals who are just together in a circle. Those individuals in the matatu, if one person who has 3 buses decides, you know what, this matatu 24-seaters, let me apply for BRT and I can get the requirements, I can meet the requirements, applies. If the circle decides, okay, all vehicle owners, let's come together, let's pool, let's bid as one and say this circle is applying to be given the operator license, bid, they will get the license. The point is, at full implementation of this, we are saying those matatus will not come to town. It is those buses that will be bringing people to town. We are decongesting the section of the road.
Essentially, you're saying the matatus can bring people up to Kasarani,
yes,
but they cannot come to town.
They will not come to town.
My point. You see, the discussion that I'm actually having here is threefold. We want to go green.
Yes.
Our plan to ensure that this entire industry, not just in Nairobi, goes green.
Yes.
We have people who need to be transported. Now, as we plan for this route, the truth of the matter is that only some people will benefit from it during the pilot scheme. And I'm sure there are conversations that have been had with the industry. My third point, the details that are normally involved in these things. We keep saying this. This is where the problem arises, and this is where I'm having this conversation. These are things that can be detailed over and over so that somebody who uses public transportation like myself has a clear picture in my mind as to what to expect, what is going to happen. You see, the discussions they have among themselves, they know.
The matatu industry has not complained.
I know they haven't complained.
Means that they are aware.
And they're all right with whatever has been suggested.
You see,
so far,
the matatu industry exists because people like myself need their services. There's a larger picture here of going green.
Yes.
And the discussion we're still having is Nairobi. Nairobi is not the only place in this country that has public transportation.
Yes.
I am sure they have a plan for all these things because Ministry of Transport is not Ministry of Transport for Nairobi, for the whole country. I am saying let an opportunity not be lost on this one here. Because this thing is fundamental to just moving the nation. Let this conversation be something that is taken charge of so that we understand this pilot is not just for Nairobi. This pilot and everything else that's happening around it is something that will be mirrored by other people. Because if you're going green and you're going green throughout the whole country, you're not really doing something very useful.
But see, that conversation has happened. And it's also ongoing.
Eric.
Remember the adverts that we read the other day? One by the CS, the next day by the PS. And talking about this.
Eric.
Namata itself and what it has been doing.
Eric.
And the public engagement with the Matatu sector players and everybody else.
Eric. Public sector engagement, advertisement. How many people read advertisements?
You see, when you're you're rolling out a program, a project, okay? You do your mapping of your stakeholders. And as you're communicating with your stakeholders, there's different stages of engagement with the stakeholders.
Okay.
Who are the first ones you want to engage with? The direct players. True?
But they've been engaging with them for the longest time.
Exactly. Now, the public, for you to look at what point, what is the best point? Maybe that's the question. What is the best point of engaging with the public?
And at what point?
And I think the best point to engage with the public is when they are seeing.
Okay.
This is a pilot.
No.
This is a plan.
Actually, no.
Okay.
Actually, no.
Okay, so in this case, CT, I hear what you're saying in the sense that there are many things that are happening at the same time. There's the environmental conversation, and then there's the users conversation, and then there's the players, the operators conversation being had. But I do think that certain things then will happen at certain times. But from what CT is saying, that at this pilot, because after the pilot, everything is rolled out, right?
Yes.
At the pilot, all of these different sectors need to know what is happening. The end users, the users now need to know, all right, I used to use a matatu from point A to point B on the Thika Superhighway, for example. Now, will I terminate within the estate and then get on the BRT and go to KNH? And then when I get off KNH, am I coming back? Do I have to now use another vehicle? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? the operators themselves, if I own a matatu, for example, essentially what you're telling me is that I will not be able to ply this route with my matatu anymore.
You'll not come to town.
I will not come to town. So
You'll terminate at Kasa.
So is it value for me in this business anymore, or must I now buy into this new system? I can now bid for it. Do I have the necessary resources to be able to do that, or do I want to continue with my 14-seater or my 36-seater, 52-seater, whatever it is?
Yes.
Right? So they also need to be privy to this conversation at the same time. The environmental conversation across board, let it be across board from the point of the pilot. However,
from the point of the pilot.
Yes.
This is from July.
Yes.
Not February.
That's what I'm saying.
Or December.
So from July, when the pilot is being rolled out, then people will be able to know, folks, this is what we are setting out on. This is what you'll be required to do, whether we're having the environmental conversation, or whether we're having the users conversation, or whether we're having the operators conversation. I want to believe that all of these people who are now cogs here will be given the information in good time and in its completeness, so that you know what you're doing. So that we're not waking up one morning and folks who are using Thika Road, for example, and are going across town, are standing there like lost sheep wondering, all right, so then what happens next? The one who has a matatu and use it and operates along a certain
you need to
network,
go to KNH.
do I need... what do? I park here, then I wait for guys to come back in the afternoon, or what happens, you know?
You know, what you've described very eloquently is the patented failure of government in communication, time and time and time again. The best case scenario of government success was when we were changing our currency, the face of our currency.
It remains, yes.
And the reason why, currency is something we use on a daily basis.
Yes.
You don't need to be told how to use currency. You know how to use it.
Yes.
But when I look at the discussions that took place and the informations, the barrage, on a daily basis until the change actually came about, you could not say you did not know. Now, for those of us who use public transport, we also use it on a daily basis.
Yes.
Daily.
Yes.
You want to communicate the importance of going green. You can argue that people understand it, but you also want to actualize it beyond communicating it. The sector players who are actually owners of this means of transportation, they've been informed. There's no question about it.
Yes.
That discussion is not what I'm talking about. They've been...
So you're talking about the ordinary matatu user?
Yes.
City.
Now,
At what point do you want that information to be given to the matatu user?
It is...
Today or July?
They should have been given that information before.
Last
they should
year.
have been told continuously. Not... When I say continuously, I mean... The government ought to run a campaign explaining to people this very same thing that we take for granted because this is our business, we know it and we understand what is happening. Why am I saying this? There's something we call community buy-in. If you want people to buy into an idea, involve them in the discussion at every phase so that they can also internalize it and figure out what this thing means to them and how they're going to go about it. Where the matatu people come in, and this is a conversation they've had, they may understand the need for going green and they're waiting until they must go green, then they will go green. The person who is their business partner in this, called the individual who plies the route, doesn't have this information. And it is crucial.
Which information, City?
They do not understand in detail why it is we're doing all these things that we're doing. I'm saying this because one advert or two adverts doesn't do it.
But it's not just that.
Tell me this campaign that the government has had to inform people about these things so that they're fully informed. Tell me.
Look, when Macharia went to draw the road, remember Macharia went to draw the road, the Thika Superhighway. He said, now we're going to...
Do you know how long ago that road was drawn?
A long time ago. Right? Point number one of public engagement.
That's not public engagement.
Media No, how does the public consume information? Media was there. And media...
Engagement is not a one-off, Eric.
It's not a one-off. And that's what I'm saying. That's one point. Media disseminated this information. The government has plans to roll out a bus rapid transport system, and they are going to be BRTs operating on Thika Superhighway. Now, my beef with that is it was not followed up immediately with the action so that people can understand, so this is what they mean. We just saw road painted, road written BRT only. But that was an engagement. There was there's something BRT. Then since then, we've seen conversations with the PS, with the CS, with Namata, in all these places, even in the media, on this is what we are doing on Thika Superhighway. And the plan is eventually that we are going to have easier mode of transport coming into town, long buses coming into town. We decongest the roads, blah, 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 blah. Make it easier. The bigger plan will include light rail and all those things. It is the mass rapid transport system for city. Hinga started building the stages in the middle of the highway. Okay? And he also went on media, including ours, where we have engaged the people. Him explaining and us asking questions. So what is this? Yes? Now, various tools have been deployed on engaging with various stakeholders. Of course, one-on-one meetings with the sector players. At what point do you increase engagement with the ordinary user? Case that you've just used here. Money. Governor, what's his name of the governor?
Njoroge.
Governor Dr. Njoroge did not come to us and tell us, now from next week we have told Delaru to start designing the new notes in line with the constitution. He didn't. He didn't tell us, because the constitution has said now we want to start making the notes have to be more secure, the notes have to use different paper. He didn't. Governor Njoroge used a public function, public event to launch these notes. They had been designed, they had been printed, the coins had been minted. And he was called by the president after the president's speech. That was in, was it Kisumu? He came and said, Mr. President, in line with the constitutional requirement, we are required to develop new notes. I'm here to say the new notes are ready. We are going to roll them out. And between now and a certain period, we'll have the conversion period. After this period, this current note ceases to be legal tender. From that point, CBK went on an overdrive now to engage with the public. Change your note. Where do you change your note? Go to the bank, change your note. Deadline is coming. You see, there had to be a start date.
So you're saying that
and
they
the
had
start
done
date was
everything before
the
that?
note. Here is the note. This is how you identify the new note. This is the old note. This is the new note. This is the difference. And that's what I'm saying. From July, when we have 100 buses, they are green, and we have the bus stops working, and we have the terminals working. Now, Hinga can say, people.
From the next 2 weeks,
So,
you will start.
yes, we have the buses. We are not locking out the matatus yet. It's a pilot phase. We have the buses, and this is how you operate with the buses. From this date, pilot ceases, rollout phase 1 begins. Phase 1 means matatus no longer coming to town. See? Iko mpango bwana.
I do not doubt that there is. It's just that the example of the banknotes are useful insofar as it was perfectly run and it was a success. It's central bank, one entity, who have a constitutional mandate to do what they are doing. So you're not going
with
to
no
say,
competition.
Zero. You're not going to say, let's go to the Bank of Uganda to do it. No. It's them. Nobody else does that except them. And so, in keeping with constitutional requirements, they have produced new notes. But the old notes are still working. You're even told, when we give the new ones, you even have a grace period in which you continue using the old ones until we phase these things out at a certain point in time. It is much easier when you have a situation like the one the central bank has. It is their baby, it is their charge. There's no one.
But with this one, I hear what you're saying.
Everybody
City,
is a
there's
stakeholder.
So many
City.
other,
It
so many
is,
other
but
parties
it's
to
so
this.
much easier because we all need those fiduciary issues to conduct our business. Everything about it. That's why I focus on how they went about it.
Do you think they need more time? Or okay, so
No.
So no. I'm not saying give them more time from now. What I'm saying is, going backwards now, if you know that it is in July that you're going to start this, so what you're saying essentially is that start having these conversations now. Start telling people that this is what is coming about in July. Let people know that your route essentially would remain the same. However, your form or your mode would be different. Get people
There's a bus coming.
They should know that there's something coming. Let them
There's a pilot
engage
coming,
with
and
the
the pilot
idea.
is going to be this.
Yes.
And this is what we are going to do. Those of you who apply this route from this is what you're going to do.
Come July.
Come July, when it's rolled out. Now, we told you, you continue the conversation. The acceptability quotient, when people have been told in advance, is higher. Because there are questions that will arise. They always arise. You deal with as many as you can, even before then. People know what to expect, and when it arrives, they're saying, so this is it. You see...
Let's take a break.
Please.
It's 27 to 8. Let's take a break, and also we'll hear from you on 0719-012-600. We are discussing the rollout of the bus rapid transport system in Nairobi. Pilot expected in July for Line 2, which is from Kasarani to KNH. Already, those who are interested in getting the license to operate the BRT have been told to submit their bids by the Namata, and they've also been told there's kind of standard of the buses that are required. They will have to be green buses. Those ones are there. Now, does the public understand? Should the public be told now the plan and what to expect, or should the public be told as the program continues being rolled out later? This is Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person. Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
The group of leaders we are having now, Kenyans, listen, the chemical composition is the same. You will mold them to ODM, then NASA, you mold them to Kanu, mold them to Jubilee, mold them to any other different color sometimes, but the chemical composition is the same.
It's not about me as Nurdin Haji, but it's about the constitution that I swore to protect. So when individuals attempt to hoard those powers and they want to be investigators and also prosecutors, then of course I have to defend that position, because that position is in the constitution, and that's what Kenyans wanted.
I'll tell you what happens is that when you ignore court orders, you're creating and quoting anarchy. Then you create a very dangerous precedent.
A story is told of the first president of the country who also went to visit Madare, presidential tour. And of course, he went to this place and he introduced himself. So one of the enemies says, hata wewe kuna jina kama yangu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi at 16. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 15. It's sunny at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 28 and lows of 13. We'll see a low of 10 in Nyeri, where it's sunny at 11, highs of 28. 26 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret, and we'll see lows of 10. It's raining in some parts of Mombasa at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 25. Sunny in Malindi. Cloudy conditions here and there. 27, we'll see highs of 31 and lows of 26. At 20, it's sunny in Kisumu. 29 will be the high and lows of 19. 15 will be the low in a sunny Kakamega. It'll go to highs of 30. Kampala's mostly sunny at 20. We'll see highs of 26. And the rain has stopped in Dar es Salaam for now. At 27 degrees, it'll go to highs of 31 and lows of 26. It's sunny in Johannesburg at 16. Highs of 26 and lows of 15. And it's still foggy in Lagos at 27. Lows will be 25 and highs of 33. It's partly cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa. That'll be the low for today, going to highs of 33.
Spice up your life.
All right, what are we looking at on the roads this morning? Okay. Mombasa Road, a little bit here and there, not too much in terms of traffic. Only go past the junction coming from the ICD route. Folks are being asked to use Southern Bypass today. That might be quicker for you, but not from that junction coming off Mombasa Road. If you can get onto it from ICD, because then it's piling up right here as you get towards Airtel. All right, we're looking at different parts of the city where there is traffic build-up on the Thika Superhighway. It's ebbing and flowing here, but it still continues to be quite something. Getting off the Uhuru Highway, not too bad today. But Langata Road jam-packed, Gong Road jam-packed, Jogo Road in and outbound traffic. Lunga looks like something today. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you. Let us know also what you see. Talk to us via tweet, SpiceFM KE, or text 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It is 22 minutes to 8. The conversation continues. We're talking about the rolling out of the bus rapid transport system, the BRT system, which the pilot phase is due to commence in July. And this will be rolled out between Kasarani and KNH. Already, the Namata has advertised and invited people who are interested in operating the BRT buses to apply for a license. And they've given the conditions, the number of buses, the size of bus, the capacity of the bus, and also that these buses ought to be green. They use biofuels or they use a hybrid of biofuels and electricity. No petrol, no diesel. Now, the questions that CT is raising are around the implementation of this. Number one, already there are existing players in this sector, and these are the matatus that ply between Kasarani and town, and then town to KNH. Are they involved in this process? Are they being given any kind of support and a leg up in transitioning to this? But then the rest of the public, the users, the people who use the matatus currently from between Kasarani and town to KNH, are they aware? And the question is, should they be told
need to
now?
be right now.
Should they be told now? Let's use an example, Ndu. And you talk about this all the time. So the Nairobi Metropolitan Service wakes up one morning, a couple of months ago, and says, we are piloting use of, what's it called?
Green
Park.
Station.
So matatus getting into town, coming from this side, from Mombasa Road and from Gong Road, will need to terminate at Green Park. And then people figure out how to get into town. Now, was that the proper way of implementing the pilot? Remember, it was pilot.
It was pilot.
Yes.
And it was for 3, it was in the paper 2 days before that, right?
Yes.
It was in the newspaper 3 days before this.
Yes.
And then we saw on social media the NMS had said this was going to happen. So folks didn't really, so I hear you, CT, loud and clear on that. Folks didn't really engage with this information. Oh, okay, Green Park, something, don't go to railways, right? On the day of, suddenly there are marshals in the city and they're telling vehicles,
every matatu,
stop here, you cannot then go to railways. Coming from the other side, you're also being, stop here, you cannot go. If you're going to pick up a vehicle that's now going to the other side of town, you terminate at Ngara, then you hobnob somewhere, find your way into the city, you get to Green Park, and then now you take another
take your Rongai bus.
How you will get there, not our business. Whether you use tuk-tuk, whether you use border, whether you will walk or you'll be carried on the back of another pedestrian. Not our problem. Was there a mess? Absolutely. Did people know? And then you know what? Mother Nature decided, very good NMS. Now you know what I'm going to do? I will rain.
On this day.
On this particular day when we're piloting this thing.
Yes.
Was adequate information given? Many would say absolutely not.
Was information given? Yes.
Yes.
Was it adequate?
Was it adequate? No. Was it in good time? Absolutely not. Then, no sooner than had that pilot for 3 days ended, A month later, there was yet another pilot for 3 days in the same area where the same thing happened, in the same manner in which it happened. There was no change whatsoever. And folks are wondering, what on God's green earth is going on here? And we are the ones who ply. Imagine how many people are applying then from railways, going or from Thika Road, for example, coming to railways, or then from railways somewhere else.
Going to Langata
and then
to
you're told,
Rongai.
you wake up on Monday morning, and then you're told,
you actually traverse 3 counties.
Yes, no. Then you're told, because you're coming from Thika, you're coming from Kiambu, you get into Nairobi, you're going to Kajiado. So then you're asking, how would you, this is something that you essentially or eventually want to be the modus operandi. This is what you want to be. But the way in which you're sharing the information is wanting at best. So do people need to be prepared well in advance? 1,000% to be aware of what is going to happen, because this is something, Eric, that you do on a daily basis. Everybody's waking up at 5 o'clock so that you can get to wherever you're going by 7, whether you're applying a trade, whether you're going to work, whether you're going to school, whatever it is that you're doing. You do it every day. You're in touch with this mode every single day. So it's going to change. What you've been used to doing for the last odd 10 years is going to change. Should you know about it well in advance? Probably yes.
Now, the question is the degree of engagement well in advance, okay? And the people who are implementing it and whether they have actually put all their ducks in a row before implementation. Because if you think about that, it's like they wake up and that's the morning that they'll get onto the road and say, we are doing this.
Yes.
If they're only done like a week in advance, make sure that all matatus that are terminating at railways, for example, there are marshals there who will enter a matatu before it leaves and say, from next week Monday, what we are going to do is you will stop here. They don't need to be told months in advance. Because if you started rolling, let's say, a media campaign here, from March, we are going to be stopping at a new place called Green Park. People will be like, March, okay. But close to the date, have more people on the ground, create that awareness. Close to the date, have people on the ground who are monitoring and seeing, are we noticing any roadblocks in the implementation of this? Can we adjust? Can we adapt? But they just roll it out, they sit back, they're like, fanya hivyo. Kidero one day woke up and decided to put yellow drums.
Yes, he did.
On Uhuru Highway. Yellow drums. Nyayo Stadium roundabout.
Did they accompany
Bunyala
the grass
roundabout.
that he also...
The grass came later.
Grass was later.
The first growing grass.
First brilliant idea was yellow drums. And what we're trying to do is, I don't know what he was doing. Because yellow drums in the roundabout and these ones are going to... Chaos. Complete chaos.
You know what muddies these waters even further is when you read that among the players in this conversion process, there are people who've already imported buses.
Yes.
Okay? Now, they're electric buses.
Yes.
But also, there are those who are going to assemble some of these buses and these vehicles that we're talking about. Now, part of the benefits of assembling vehicles as opposed to buying it whole is you benefit from a 25% exemption of the fees that you would ordinarily pay if you're importing. Now, why do I bring this up? I'm saying when you have a lot of information floating around on a subject such as this one here, this talking in advance, you bring that information together so it is understood that this is actually what is happening. You cannot penalize people who are quick off their feet with those who are slow off their feet.
Of course.
And yet they've all received the information at the same time and they all have an equal opportunity to do what needs to be done.
To see the opportunities.
Yes. But if that information isn't carried out and people don't know it, all you're doing is providing an opportunity for the very thing we're trying to avoid. People determining what is really happening as opposed to understanding what is actually happening. Because all these plans are good.
So you allow for now negative
you allow, and it's going to happen.
To thrive.
Because the moment you mention the word government, what you've invited is a comparative analysis of everything government and promises that government have made and the outcome of those things. That's what you've done. So you need to distinguish this one from anything negative that people have And the only way you do that is by the way you communicate and by the way you tell people in advance. So the many questions which arise are responded to, and they're not given room to metamorphosize into some hydra that it isn't.
Sure. And say for this example that we keep giving of the currency change, almost everything that you're able to put your finger on in terms of a campaign or in terms of a change that was brought about by government, unfortunately, was met with the same kinds of attitude, right? Yes. Whether it was Huduma number, whether it was the
expressway.
I know everything that we're going to talk about, you're going to throw the expressway at it. You know, any kind of document or any kind of change that you needed to bring about was often met by IEBC registration, for example. So many things met by, this wanton, quote unquote apathy that we want to talk about. Yeah. So here you are with a brilliant opportunity to kind of change that way of thinking, that it doesn't have to be last minute. There were very few people, for example, with this currency change who at the end of it were like, oh man, I didn't change my last 1,000 shillings or 500 shillings or whatever. But not because you didn't know. Not because you didn't know. It was across board. Whether it was in rural, urban Kenya, everybody had an idea about it. But you guys, what we're talking about, this BRT, is a big deal. Transformational in the transport sector. In terms of what we've been talking about, that you actually don't have a public transport system in this country. You don't. It doesn't exist. Yep. You have private entities rushing about trying to get people from point A to point B. Now, government is stepping in to do something monumental in how people are going to move from one place to the next within a metropolis. It needs huge stakeholder involvement and engagement. It needs end user involvement. I would say from the get-go, even if it's just an idea that you're putting in people's minds. You will have the people who will wake up on the 27th of July when this thing rolls out and they'll be like, hold on a minute. Where am I actually supposed to be going? Yes. And I'm lost and I didn't make it to work. But I don't think that with adequate and consistent information that you will have the majority of people then being lost in the dark. I don't think so.
What more information would you, if you were the Namata or the PS Hinga, what more information would you give? Because let's look at the kind of information that's out there currently.
Yeah.
People who will be affected immediately are already seeing some construction happening on the highway. And then it's happening near a footbridge. At the footbridge, there's a sign, Kasarani BRT station. Next one is whatever they are, Kenyatta University BRT station. They're already seeing that. So they can see there's
they know
something,
what they're for.
There's something happening. There's a BRT station. It's in the middle of the road. I'm never used to come off alighting from the right side of the road. This one is basically creating a stage on the right side of the road. You're this idea driver. I'm a passenger. So how will I be alighting from Mart and a bus? Those questions, I hear you, they will, need some clarity as people go. There's a point that is being made, and I'm buying into the point of starting to just break down that communication right now. So when you talk about BRT, even just visually, this is a BRT bus. These are people alighting. This is how this stage looks like. So you alight, you get onto the footbridge, you cross over from outside of the road, you go. You're coming, this is how you board the bus. Now, does everybody come and wait for their bus here, or because it's a very small station? So how do you deal with decongesting the footbridge and the bus? Yeah. So when I come here now, how do I know which side of the road I'm supposed to stand? Is the left side supposed to be the one before? All those things will need to be rolled out, pole. And maybe just starting to create that, or even just saying, the main BRT terminus is at Kasarani. In town, it's at whatever, bus station or Green Park or wherever. At KNH, we know the bus stop at KNH. That cannot fit those long buses.
It can't.
So at KNH, what happens when they get to KNH? Do they create an entire traffic snarl up on that road? Or is there a stage going to be built specifically for BRT buses when they terminate at KNH? All that needs to be clear as we head towards July. And we're getting to head towards July when there'll be a lot of competition for people's ears from all other quarters. campaigns.
And can everybody come and say you're going to bid? It's open to the whole public and say, can everybody then bid to get a bus?
Yeah.
Or is this just the privilege of those who are currently operating within the transport system? Anybody can use it as an avenue for business and then, get in touch with government, and, things like that. Because look, it's a viable business idea. Folks might want to get on that as well. So you're saying, is this open to everybody? Those who are in the matatu sector or the transport sector right now, and then maybe for some reason are not able to, what happens to their vehicles? Another segment of this whole process that then needs to be dealt with. Folks who are currently operating, if you're not able to get onto the BRT system, then does your business end? Do you get option number 1, 2A? What happens to you if you cannot continue? Are you done? Do you move to another section of the city? What happens?
Well, even if you're going to import these buses or you're going to order from those who are going to assemble them, what is the standard that we have? Is it 25
Is
seater?
there a standard?
Minimum 30 and also, if you talk about the conversations you've had and you air them out, you say, we've had these conversations with the matatu sector, okay? All their circles. And the agreements we've had. Why is this important? Because somewhere along the line, some matatu guys are going to come up and say, thank you very much. Yes. They're going to say, oh, wait, we didn't know. So sort these things out well in advance when they still come so that the public can say, but excuse me, we got this information and you guys had this conversation.
Well, in fact, we even saw you addressed a joint press conference
with the ministry. For heaven's sake. So what is this thing that you're telling us?
That you didn't know.
Knowing how things happen in this country, there are many things you can forestall, okay? And you can take this opportunity to actually get people engaged so that people get into the habit of knowing we are engaged in these things.
Yes.
As I said, when you engage them, and engagement is not a notice, an advertisement. No, continuous conversation. Frequency, you can debate. And where Eric's point becomes valid, when you start the rollout, the frequency then increases. Essentially, and you're building on what you've been telling them. And saying, this is what we've been telling you, but now on a daily basis, this is what is happening.
Sure, because then the information does not stick out like a sore thumb and people are wondering, okay, so what have they been talking about? Or what are they currently talking about? It's on the basis of what they had previously shared.
Yes.
The one thing that is for sure, as sure as the sun is going to set in the west today, matatu sector operators will complain.
Of course. They'll say
they will go on strike.
Yes.
They will.
This thing was given to, this people who don't even understand who's been given the BRT license, operator's license.
Follow suit like the CFS in Mombasa.
Where have they come from? This is taking away business from people. Look, now, if you remove all these people who've been operating at the bus stops, there are bus stops in Gara, bus stops everywhere, people who've been selling sweets, the people who are there are persons living with disabilities. So what are you talking about?
At a bus station,
When you talk about CFSs, they were never meant to be permanent. No. They were supposed to be a temporary measure to decongest the port. Was this communicated adequately to the public? No.
Nope.
So when politicians came in to politicize it, what politicians were then saying, you're looking at the outcome and you're saying people don't have jobs. They were going to not have jobs at some point.
Yes.
Anyway.
It was a temporary measure, just that. But even with the temporary measures, what else could you have done to ensure that some of these businesses continue, not in the same format?
Yep.
Because the port hasn't gone anywhere. Goods still come through the port. Sure. What else could you have done? Now, this was exacerbated even more when we now got to a dry port in Naivasha. I said, at what?
Somebody's land.
Yeah.
Precisely. So, essentially, interpretation of politicians. You've moved all the port business to Naivasha.
Yes.
Now, tell me, is it easy for people to consume?
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you see, if you take the time to just inform people and tell them, folks,
this is what we are going to do.
We are moving this. This is the SGR. CFSs, you've got 6 more months.
Yes.
You've got 3 more months. You've got 2 months.
Yes.
But in the meantime,
this is what you do.
Yes, and this is what we are also doing to ensure that this and this and this and this happens.
And you know how we can be sure that it works? I'll give you one last example. Totally different sector, but to remember when the US donors were talking to us about blood. 5 years, they said, in the next 5 years, we are going to start to phase out our contributions towards this fund.
It's not even contribution.
Not only are we complete support.
Yes.
Not only are we saying that we're going to remove our support, but here we are giving you options of what you can do to then make sure that your supplies still remain. 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 9 months, 6 months to the day. They've been telling you like this, like this, like this. Like
and then
this,
what happened? Disaster, an emergency.
It's something that the government and very many, not just government, but even in the corporate sector, when people are designing projects and programs, they work on everything else and they ignore communication.
They do. And
they
yet
look
you
at
find there's a whole
communication as a
department.
part which will just come in
At the last
at
bit
the
to
last
throw
bit,
something at it.
plug it in, let's roll. If you don't have a communication element at the design of a project, it's doomed.
Expect it to fail.
It is doomed. This is what we see all the time with government. We see it very many times, even with the corporates. And they come in and they start, that's the time they're spending a lot of money trying to book advertisements and all. But, boss.
Ship has sailed.
Yeah. And if you have just small negative information about you, Kwisha, let's remind you about cybersecurity.
Yep.
And especially for our children, safer and better internet.
Yeah, so the Communications Authority is reminding us that, we can be dedicated to helping us all work together for a better, safer internet, right? And the CA has launched what is called Cyber Soldiers. It's a brand new interactive game. It's teaching children how to recognize threats and vulnerabilities. And, what are some of the better cyber safety tips or you've learned from paying cyber soldiers is a question that would come. CA wants to hear about your experiences online or dealing with cyber safety for you and your family. So we'll share some cyber safety tips courtesy of the Communications Authority of Kenya. And you can know what those are. It's really aimed at making the internet a better, safer place for everybody who uses it. And Eric, tell you, how about you can go about
Yeah,
that?
and there's a game that's been rolled out by the Communications Authority, and this is called Cyber Soldiers, which is basically a game, but also an information portal for the young ones to know how best to use the internet and the safe areas to navigate on the internet and the areas to avoid on the internet. Now, just let your child go to www.ca.go.ke. That's www.ca.go.ke. You get onto the homepage. On that homepage, you'll see a tab written campaigns, and then click on that. After that, you see a tab written Play Cyber Soldiers, and another one, Child Online Protection. So if you go Play Cyber Soldiers, the child can then play the game. Child Online Protection gives you safety tips on how you can remain safe and your child can remain safe while they're browsing the internet. This is a conversation by the Communications Authority of Kenya, and their tag is Mawasiliano Kwetu, Nguvu Kwako. The Communications Authority. Keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Justice Thursdays. We have a guest who will be joining us and we talk about accessing information from the judiciary for free online and how that helps entrench access to justice. Good morning. It's now 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is News of Africans. The independent electoral is originally led by higher elective seats should not resign by February 9th. However, the MCAs who wish to contest as Member of Parliament should resign before submitting the nomination papers to the returning officers. This comes after Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muthui, warned that MCAs aspiring to seek higher elective seats might miss the position if they do not resign 6 months before the August 9th, while quoting the Constitution under Article 99, Clause 2, Paragraph D of the Constitution that says a sitting member of County Assembly must resign 6 months to the election date. Muthui had referenced an ongoing case filed against Gatundu North MP Wanjiku Kibe by her rival Kongu Kaibiru, who was seeking to have her term terminated by the court on grounds that she failed to resign before the 2017 general election. Now, ODM presidential candidate Jimmy Njegi has stated that he will stay in ODM if the NDC follows the party constitution and the nomination process to select a president is held. In an interview with KTN News, Njegi revealed that his issues with the party has emanated from the fact that he is demanding the right procedures followed, not because he has anything personal with anyone.
If they are not following the constitution, I'm not the only one who made that constitution. Follow the constitution. I've asked you over and over again. When did Raila Odinga become a presidential candidate for ODM? Where was this decided? Where did it happen? That has excluded all of us who are interested in this. I don't want to leave. Why do I want to leave? But I can assure you, if there is a method that is used contrary to the constitution of ODM to decide on that candidate, they will live with their consequences and I will live with the consequences. If there is a free and fair process, I'm a Democrat. Why would I not stick? If they follow the rules and the constitution and there's a free and transparent process, why wouldn't I stick?
He adds that he is a Democrat and that should he lose the nomination, he will stay and ensure that ODM forms the next government.
If you look at my letter all the way back in August, September, I was very clear. Please tell us the rules, advertise the rules. I want televised debates. I want us to be transparent and open. I want to invigorate this party. I even went out and started opening offices where there were no offices. And some people started fighting me from within the party. I'm popularizing the party. What is wrong? Why would I leave? I'm investing. I'm invested throughout. This is about time that we show Kenyans that this party can actually get power.
Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed the recently formed DAP Kenya party, labeling it as a branch and puppet of the ODM party. Speaking in Tonga in Bungoma County, where he was accompanied by ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi and his fourth Kenya counterpart Moses Wetangula, as well as a host of MPs and aspirants, Ruto continued his onslaught at his rivals as the race to the fifth president of Kenya gathers momentum. Mudavadi said the DAP-K party, associated with CS Eugene Wamalwa, is a project just like Azimio Umoja, claiming President Uhuru Kenyatta is supporting his lieutenants so that he can remain in control of the next government. Mudavadi accused Wamalwa of dishonesty, saying the two were approached by President Uhuru in 2013 to be part of his government, but he declined because he wanted to remain neutral, while Wamalwa went on to take up the job. Now, over 30,000 counterfeit Kenya Revenue Authority excess stamps and hundreds of liters of ethanol have been seized from an unlicensed second-generation distillery in Elbagon, Molo sub-county. Detectives based in Molo got wind that an unscrupulous businessman and former sawmiller based in Elbagon had converted his sawmill to a liquor manufacturing plant following the countrywide ban on logging imposed by the government. In a well-coordinated operation conducted by the Molo security team, the sleuths sneaked into the sawmill in unmarked vehicles posing as potato farmers and busted 3 workers who were busy packaging the liquor ready for the market. Hundreds of counterfeit bottles affixed with fake carry stamps were recovered during the raid, and the owner, James Ndegwa, who is a former sawmill, arrested. Also arrested were 3 of his employees, Frederick Kiprotich, Joram Choge and Langat Kimgetich, who also acted as the plant's connoisseurs and tested whether the potency of each brand had achieved its desired level. Now, Beyond Zero and the Kenya School of Government have signed an agreement that will establish the Margaret Kenyatta Institute for Gender and Social Development. The MOU, signed by the KSG Director General Professor Ludeki Chwea and Beyond Zero Coordinator Angela Langat, paves the way for the creation of the new institution to be located at the Kenya School of Government's main campus at Lower Kabete. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Traffic at the doorstep on Mombasa Road today does not look good at all, folks, and we're looking at it coming all the way from the weighbridge beyond Sabaki, and it's totally jam-packed, and the question is, what on earth is going on? Fortunately, don't know just yet what is causing that. Earlier on, we saw that there was an accident further down Mombasa Road, but this seems to be up ahead today, so not quite sure what is happening. So please, if you see it, let us know and we can share it. What can you do? You can use the Southern Bypass. So really early, get off of this, go through the ICD and use the Southern Bypass to get off of Mombasa Road. So there is 1. Okay, let's look at 2. The Thika Superhighway, there's build-up traffic there. It's not letting down. It's going way past the junction of Outer Ring and heading towards Thika. So I want to watch out for this today. Kiambu Road also is quite hot and heavy. We're looking at Limuru Road, in and outbound traffic. On Jogo Road today, that is still heavy. The Eastern Bypass taking a big hit today as well. What on earth is happening? Well, we are going towards the end of the week. Langata Road also continues to be that drama. As we know it. Let's take a look at things. Let us know what's going on Mombasa Road. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Coming up to 8 minutes after 8. This is The Situation Room on the 10th day of February 2022. Happy Thursday wherever you are. Today is hashtag Justice Thursday. We'll have a Justice Thursday conversation shortly. Before we introduce our guest, let's hear the day's proverb from CT.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
Yes, a thought is the father of deed. Or the arms follow the pace of the walk.
It's a good one. Mbidhe hufuata mwende.
Yes, Nambuni.
Let's not, shall we?
Mbuni hufuata
Chui.
mwizi wa mayai. Well, welcome to our audience on KTN Home. You're joining us now until the top of the hour. We have a guest, and the guest is Professor Jack Mwimali. He is the CEO and the editor of an organization called the Kenya National Council for Law Reporting. The Kenya National Council for Law Reporting. He'll tell us what that is. Professor Mwimali, karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you in the show. This is a Situation Room. That is the hot seat. Make yourself comfortable.
I hope it will not burn me.
No, it won't. It will not. Prof, what is this, the Kenya National Council for Law Reporting?
The Kenya National Council for Law Reporting is actually a statutory body created under the National Council for Law Reporting Act. It's an act of parliament, number 11 of 1994. So we are created by a law, a statute that has been passed by parliament and bestowed with a mandate of publicizing or publishing legal information. So our role or our mandate is just to report on the laws of Kenya. Of course, then the question would be, what are the laws of Kenya? We are a commonwealth country, we are a common law system, and in a common law system, the sources of law are both statutory and case law. So we publish and report on statutes and case law. Of course, beside the mandate that has been conferred on us by the National Council for Law Reporting Act, we also have some statutory instrument, other mandates that have been given to the organization through legal notices. So some functions that are played by the Attorney General's office have been given to us to work on behalf of the Attorney General's office. So basically you'll find we publish the laws of Kenya. And I think any person who's gone online and looked at the laws of Kenya, the first place or the first port of call would be Kenya Law, which is our brand name for the National Council for Law Reporting. But we also publish case laws, every decisions of courts that have been rendered by Kenyan courts, especially the courts of record. We are talking about the High Court and the courts of equivalent jurisdiction, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Yes.
So whenever somebody wants to go and search, let's say Constitution of Kenya 2010, or we're talking about any act, this particular act, the Kenya National Council for Law Reporting Act, if I went and searched for that act,
Yes.
one of the search results, one of the top search results is going to be the act itself, and the website will be kenyalaw.org.
Yes.
That is you.
Yes.
kenyalaw.org.
That's us.
If I went to search what a certain judgment of or a certain ruling of a high court was, let's say we're talking about this issue of whether MCAs should resign before elections or not, this matter has been canvassed in court and there's been an outcome of the court. I search, you have already put it online.
Yes. And in fact, what we are trying to do currently is to be as most updated as possible, so that you'll find even decisions that were rendered, say, 2-3 days ago will already be in our platform. Of course, we are trying to work with other entities who have a similar mandate, like the government printer, who then must gazette those laws or those provisions, especially if it's a law that has been passed by Parliament. It must be gazetted to be enforced. So we must work with the government printer, ensure that the official act, the official statute is given out to the public. And that is what we are doing. So we are not just giving information, but we are giving it as up to date as possible. We try and make sure that you are able to access information as at the current time.
What's the scope of the information that you're putting out here to the general public? Because then there's a question of, all right, somebody was, charged with what would be seen as a misdemeanor, for example, and then that case is adjudicated, and then you have something as high as a criminal case. What's the scope that this information is being shared?
Our scope is to publish decisions of what we call courts of record, courts of superior jurisdiction, because those courts' decisions are binding on inferior courts or on subordinate courts, so that any decision of the High Court, Land and Environment, and those court of that jurisdiction,
labor relations,
environment and land and labor relations court, all of them must be published, because those decisions would be binding on the magistrate courts. So we do publish those ones, but we are even looking beyond just publishing the courts, the decisions of these courts, and to publish the decisions of magistrates, and to also publish decisions of tribunals. Now, these are not decisions of record. They are not precedent setting. So a future court would not cite those decisions as binding upon them, unlike the ones of the High Court, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. But that notwithstanding, there is a sense of accountability. Actually, the chair of our council is the Chief Justice, and the Attorney General also sits in the board of the National Council for Law Reporting. And one of the provisions in the Constitution is about accountability. So the thought of our chair is to also use this organization as an accountability mechanism. We will start probably publishing decisions of other entities like tribunals, which we have already started, selective tribunal cases. But in future, we are also looking towards publishing decisions of magistrates, so that if a magistrate makes a decision that is a bit worrisome, there would be of the fear that that profile will be viewed by every other person. And therefore, you will be a bit more cautious on the way you express yourself and you publish these decisions, or you prepare those decisions. Yes.
There's something that you mentioned there that is critical, which is once a bill has gone through Parliament, it goes to the President, it's assented to. You don't publish it until it is gazetted.
Until it's gazetted.
So it has to be gazetted before it gets onto the kenyalaw.org.
Yes.
That means that the Kenya Gazette is the one that is actually now holding your hand, sort of.
Yes, it's an organization, or the government printer, so to say,
the government printer,
is the one that we must work with, because at least what is gazetted by them then becomes law of Kenya. Unless it's gazetted. And that we have a challenge, actually, that is ongoing in court. Decision was rendered that a law is not a law. And that was in relation to county governments. You know, most of the counties have passed laws. They have it has gone through all the processes, but it has not been gazetted. Now, one of the things that we've been trying to do, as I have indicated, is to ensure that the information that we give out is as up to date as possible. So we get that information because we liaise with the counties and we publish those information. And somebody then goes to court and says, wait a minute, I have not seen a gazette notice under which this law has been published. So that is not a law. And actually the court agreed with this gentleman who went on that basis, because unless it's gazetted, then it is not
law.
Formally law, although it has gone through all the processes. But there's also one thing about that situation, because at the end of it, the counties are also supposed to have their own county gazettes under the new constitution. Unfortunately, there is no framework for the county gazettes. So all counties must rely on the government printer. And that has been a bit of a challenge. You can imagine all the 47 counties, all the legislations, statutory instruments, those that attach to those legislation, must actually go through the same government printer. And one thing that you may note as a bit off at the moment is that there are actually clear provisions on publication. And publication at the moment emphasizes on physical hard copies, not the soft copy. So unless they have released the physical hard copy, then it is not really a published statute or a published document.
How does this, the question then come in my mind is that how does this then provide a service to Kenyans, the general public? What does it do that in the absence of which there would be a gap?
As I have pointed out, number one, the Act itself precedes the Constitution. It's a 1994 Act with certain changes in between. But come the 2010 Constitution, and it gives members of the public and every individual the right to information, Article 35 of the Constitution. What is the information that is being required to be provided there? Every information held by the state that is important for exercise of individuals' rights. So anything that can facilitate you to enjoy your rights is public information, which we are proactively required to publish. So constitutionally, that is a mandate that is given to us. And therefore, by us publishing this information, we are letting the public know that there are these documents and this information. Of course, our statutory mandate is about tracking the jurisprudence that is created. So, for example, there's a decision in court, and you know, if it's a superior court, those decisions are binding on other courts. Unless you are aware about the existence of this law, the judgment law that is contained in these decisions that the courts have rendered, then you may be acting in error. Sometimes, as lawyers say, you may be in an honest but erroneous belief. An honest but mistaken belief.
Honest but mistaken belief.
You know, the thing that I've been pondering about, what you do is of utmost importance to the citizens of the country.
Yeah.
But beyond people who are in the business of legal matters and legal affairs, who understand and must consume the information that you put out and that you make available, what else do you do to let the general public know about this very same thing? And how do you get the general public to know how they can benefit from all this?
Initially, when we started, I think publication, of course, in 94, but serious dissemination probably in 2004, 2005. When our website was rolled out, if you remember that time, you needed to have subscribed to that database in order to access that information. But it got to a time when we started to engage with partners. And one of the points that came out clearly is if we do limited premium content provision, then this information will only go to the hands of a few people. Maybe the elites, the lawyers will use them, and therefore it will not be accessible to the public. Right now, we have put it out there. as free, open, legal information, so that anybody right now wanting to know about what laws are in existence, you go to Kenya Law, you get it. But besides that, we also provide other services, again, by understandings that we have and by other statutory instruments. So, for example, today, if you want to know which cases are in court and at what time, you need a course list. You would have had to go to the government printer or the court to get that course list. We do provide those course lists to the programs of the court in Kenya on a daily basis. If you want to know a gazette notice that has been given, again, you go to the Kenya Gazette. Instead of going to the government printer, getting it from the government printer in the form of the physical Kenya Gazette, you can easily access through the Kenya Law website. Of course, now we are publishing laws of Kenya. And not just the laws of Kenya, we're also publishing updated laws of Kenya, but retaining the original copies. So, for example, if you had a succession case in 2010, it is unlikely that you will find every legal provision that is currently in force is the one that is applicable to your case. And we have even succession case dating back to 1970s. The Succession Act became a law in 81. Now, which law will be applied to you? How do you access that law? Because if you come and take the Succession Act as is today, then that is not the law that is applicable to you. So you know there is that progress, but there is also that contemporary and timeliness of the laws that we supply. So we are not just giving you information as is now. We also tell you that there are other provisions, including now the 2010 Constitution, yes, but there are cases that may have originated or emanated from issues that arose before the 2010 Constitution, which will be the applicable Constitution, is the repealed Constitution.
You know, where I come from, people grow sugarcane. And one of the things that is a problem for most farmers is that they also grow maize for subsistence. And there are wild hogs that share this maize with them, uninvited, of course. And there's a saying among the people who come from where I come from, if only these hogs knew how sweet the cane was, they wouldn't bother us with this maize, okay? Now, what you're saying is music to my ears, but I suspect I didn't quite ask the question correctly. Let me ask it differently. I understand, I know. For the general public to know, beyond publishing,
yes,
is there anything else you do? Like, for instance, if you want to know that there's a detergent, those who make it will make sure they advertise on radio. If your radio is on, you're going to hear it until you're tired, okay? If they are advertising a soft drink, they'll do the same. If they want you to use a certain communication product, they'll do the same. Now, this product, in my mind, is of extreme importance. Is there anything you do along these lines to ensure that the public actually knows about these important things that you do?
Actually, we have been publicizing ourselves. And in fact, in our strategic plan, which is coming to an end, and we are now developing a 2022-2027 strategic plan, one of the important sectors in the organization is the public communications, where we go out and give this information to the people. And I agree with you, in most cases, people know or even interact with us, but they don't know who we are. So we are going out there, and that's why I'm delighted that you've brought me to this show, so that people would understand these things that we see there are created by a particular entity or group of people. Of course, for me, as a worker in that organization, I would not be. I would not like to be bogged down by bureaucracy and politics. But I also want people to know that there is this entity or organization that is giving this information, and therefore we are now going out. We are now moving from just publishing and giving this information to interacting with the people. We are also doing corporate social responsibilities. We want to interact with the people. As we plant the trees with them, they know, oh, there's this entity, there's this organization that is doing this work. And therefore, you get to know us on that basis. Perhaps that's probably one of the shortcomings that we have had in the past, that we have done very good work. If you go to the public entities monitoring structures, they'll tell you Kenya law is one of... we have actually been the best public sector organization for the last, I think, 3-4 years.
Best in what?
Yes.
Best in what?
Just if you look at all public entity or public sector institutions, in terms of meeting their mandate and doing it professionally, we have been the best, at least under the framework that we have been assessed against. But then that question that you're asking is, so you are best, but who exactly are you? And sometimes people would even confuse us with the Kenya Law Reform Commission, which has a different mandate from ours, which is to propose and look at laws that exist and then propose those laws and even do draft bills for consideration by Parliament to change those laws. For us, we are looking at the laws that have already been provided. But we are going beyond just the laws that are already enacted. We are even tracking the bills, so that you would know there is a possibility that this bill may become law, and therefore I want to have my say, and that essence of public participation in the Constitution comes into play. So you can track the bills through our website before it becomes law, so that by the time it becomes law, at least you are aware of it. You know, it is said that ignorance of the law is not a defense, and therefore you cannot say that I didn't know there existed this law. But how do you then come to know about this law? You track it from the time it is proposed. And that is one of the things that we have been doing. So, yes, we may have to do a bit better in terms of bringing ourselves out to the open so that we are known. But I think on the other side, they say, kizuri chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza. So, by our work, if you go to the organization, to those public platforms, you will definitely see us.
You know,
we are stalking in there.
You know, the simple citizen of the country, including myself, the law is at best a protagonist in this sense. You interact with the law through the police service. You interact with the law when you have an issue that needs to go to court. So these aren't happy moments.
Yes.
There's something adversarial has taken place. At least that is how, and even the way it's reported and the way we believe it. Now, and yet, you talk about a service that is actually intended and purposed to benefit people. Now, if they don't know about it, whatever imagery they have, whatever belief they've internalized is what will take center stage. And will continue to take center stage. Because everything you say, I mean, you hear it and you say, but is this not a wonderful thing? Meaning, even before you go to talk to a lawyer, on your own, if you know how to understand and read, you can have a fairly clear idea of where a matter that you have stands.
Which is where I want to bring in the next question after the break.
Yes.
It is all legal jargon. The law is written in legalese. Case law is coming from the High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court is written by judges, legalese. I am going to access kenyalaw.org. There are ways in which I can get to understand the basics of those laws. Let's take a break. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, 29 minutes after 8, live on KTN Home, SpiceFM, and Facebook and YouTube. Good morning.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice
Sunny
FM.
conditions in Nairobi at 16, highs of 27 and lows of 15. And at 17, Nakuru is sunny. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 14. 10 will be the low in Nyeri today, where it's sunny at 14. It'll see highs of 28. 26 will be the high in Eldoret. It's sunny at 13, down to lows of 11. All right, in Mombasa, the rain is back at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 25. And it's sunny in Malindi at 27. We'll see highs of 31. 29 will be the high in a sunny Kisumu, currently at 21, while in Kakamega, 21 and sunny, highs of 30 and lows of 15. In Kampala, it's sunny at 20. We'll see highs of 26, and 31 will be the high in a rainy Dar es Salaam, highs of 31. Johannesburg, sunny at 17 with highs of 26 and lows of 15, while it continues to be foggy in Lagos at 26. It'll go to highs of 33. And it's sunny in Kinshasa at 24. That'll be today's low. It'll go to highs of 34.
Chilled Spice. Spice up your life.
Wu Highway connecting with Langata Road, Rilo Dingawe, Gong Road, going towards Community. There's a whole mess this morning. Jogo Road started really early, and that continues going then towards the roundabouts at the city stadium. Kamkunji at that roundabout also taking something, and Haile Selassie then leading to that is quite crazy as well. All right, Thika Superhighway has not let up since about 6 o'clock this morning and still continues to be jam. It's also following in suit Kiambu Road, as is Limuru Road this morning. Folks on Mombasa Road, I am sorry, I commiserate with you. It doesn't look good at all today. It's snaking along extremely slowly, bumper to bumper in a lot of parts, at least before you get to General Motors. So if you're not on Mombasa Road yet and you're planning to, think about using the ICD route out to the southern bypass and avoid the drama that is currently on Mombasa Road. And then let's talk. Let's do it. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
27 minutes to 9. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The
94.4
Situation Room continues with you this morning on KTN Home, on SpiceFM and online. Is Eric Latiff, Ndu Okoh, CT Muga. And our guest is Professor Jack Mwimali. He is a CEO and editor of the Kenya National Council for Law Reporting. Now, this is a government entity. This is the one that publishes and puts on all the laws and also judgments from courts of, let me use the terms that he used, courts of higher jurisdiction, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, and they're all published on kenyalaw.org. You go there and you find, let's say, Constitution on kenyalaw.org. Trust it. It has not been edited. That is not somebody who is trying to put in a constitution there that says that the president shall be the deputy to the deputy president. It is a proper law. Prof, you have talked about, you pick the law as it has been gazetted by the government printer and you put it. So you're basically a publisher.
We are a publisher.
You pick whatever has come out of Supreme Court. You don't edit. If you notice there's a typo that has come from the Supreme Court, what do? You do nothing. You publish.
Not necessarily. Now, that's where my role as an editor comes in, not just being a CEO. Because as an organization, we also are duty-bound to ensure that the law that we put out there are actually clear and accessible to those people. So in most cases, if we find there are errors, and some of them we call apparent errors that appear in the record. Again, I know, and we will come to that discussion, the use of Latin and all those issues. But we call that a decision, say, that has been made per incuriam, that has been made in error. there is a clear provision of the statute which has been misrepresented by an omission in that judgment. We then get back to the judge to see if that was what was intended, so that they themselves can correct that error and reissue their judgment. So that when we do publish, we publish something that is accurate and correct. So we also play that other role of editing, in the sense that we don't just receive and convey it as is to the public. And that is why you will see most of our laws are actually fairly well written. They're edited.
Do you take it back to the source
Yes,
once
we
you've
do.
edited and say, we found this error
Yes.
and we have edited this, confirm?
Not necessarily we have edited. We write kind of annexure to it and say, did you mean section 28 instead of 27
All
on
right.
this? Or did you mean this instead of that which was submitted to us? And then, of course, that person would look at it and say, yeah, exactly, it wasn't 28, it was 27 that I intended. And then they would do the correction themselves, because they have the mandate to do it. And even before they now give us for publication, they have to reissue it, because these judgments have to go to the parties. To the parties.
Yeah, to the parties. Okay. What is the danger of not doing this process that you've talked about, whereby you may see something that looks like an anomaly, and then you say, all right, this needs to go back to the author? What is the danger of not doing that? Because then it can be assumed. I mean, we're all lawyers here, right? At some point, we get it, what he or she may have been saying, and we can just let it slide. What's the danger of not going through that process?
The minimis.
The danger is, now you provide information that is out there that is not accurate. One of the things that we need to do is get accurate information out there. But secondly, also, we bring ourselves under the institutions of administration of justice into disrepute. They will be like, okay, these people do not really know their mandate, or that magistrate or that judge or that tribunal chair is not very competent. And human is to err. I do write a lot. But in many cases, when I go back to what I have written, I find there are things that I ought to have said or put it differently, an is that is misplaced somewhere. And therefore, that needs to be corrected. Of course, for us, if it's a small typo, that when we don't really need to take it back to the author, that when we can make those typographic errors and all that. But if it goes into the substance, we do not do any touching, because then we'll be accused of altering or changing the content of what has been provided to us. And similar things happen with the laws that we submit to that are submitted to us for publication. Sometimes we may notice that there is a mistake or an error. We also write a memorandum that we submit back to the Attorney General's office for consideration, so that if there are changes, it is those who are tasked with the changing of that law that do it. It's not us who do it, but we offer them that expertise and technical service of picking out. And even sometimes we do propose through the Attorney General to the National Council to the National Council for the Commission for
Law Reform Commission.
Law Reform, so that they would consider that as an issue that has arisen. We get two conflicting provisions of law. We pick it out, we point it out to the Attorney General, we point it out to the Kenya Law Reform Commission, so that they can consider changes. Similarly, you may have two decisions of judges that are conflicting that come to us. Ours is to publish, but we also pick out those conflicts and point it out to them, so that they will probably, through their own internal processes, address it. So we also serve that role.
Kind of like the question that Eric was asking earlier, because then again, even as you're reporting or putting out this information, it might make sense to the authors and those who might consume it at that level. But then putting it into morsels that because the communication is not just about what you're doing, but the actual communication of what it is that you have said then is important, because for a lot of folks, it may look like French. Okay, not to me, maybe to CT would look like French, right? So how then would you then break it down for people to really understand what exactly it is that you're saying?
Now, that would be beyond our mandate in the first instance, but we also do give that eye of a layman to the documents that come to us, be they laws, be they decisions or judgments, where we bring out these questions. Because, we want to make it as clear as possible. So as we write back to them a memorandum, it will be like, we have looked at it, and this one still doesn't come out very clearly. So we give them an opportunity to reconsider it before it is now published. In terms of case law, you see, it's just between the judges and us. It doesn't have to be gazetted. So that is a bit more direct. Of course, when it comes to law, even if there is an apparent error or an actual error that is visible on the face of that document, even Parliament itself cannot just go and delete and change.
They have to go through the process.
They have to
amending.
go through an amendment process.
Remove the word.
Yes.
And put this.
Yes.
Prof.
Yeah.
These things that you publish, you pick piece of legislation for Parliament, an act that has now been gazetted.
Yes.
In its entirety, from table of contents going all the way, 70 pages. You pick case law, coming the decision of the court, you publish it all the way. In this country, not in this country, in this world, the generations that are, consuming information now are generations that are seeking information in bite-sized form.
Yes.
Wewe soma, uniambie kwa tweet. So do you have that mandate of, for example, there's a new piece of legislation called the Parliamentary Political Parties Act.
Yes.
That has been amended and has now been gazetted, right? Do you have the mandate to basically put it in one paragraph or in just one page and give me the highlights? The entire import of this law is this, and the other. And then now, if I want details, I can go and read.
Actually, when we receive these laws, they don't have those table of contents and all that. Some of them, we are the ones that do provide it for purposes of making it more accessible. So there are value additions that we give. And in the case of case laws, we actually normally do, the case summaries at the top, the parties, the holdings, because what we receive from the court is just the decision and the judgment. Starting from that side. So sometimes we distill it for the public. If you go to especially the officially reported cases, there are those that we put in as we have received. It doesn't have those introductory part, holdings and all that. But if you go to the official reports now, the Kenya law reports, you will find it has those elementary. This is the decision concerning this particular matter. These are the co-holdings and all that. And that we provide to the public so that they can know. If you go to look at our laws, especially now the official Kenya laws, you will not just find, you have to look through the whole document to find what you want. You will actually have some tidbits on what you expect in this particular decision. And then you can pick from there whether it is relevant to what you are looking for or that is not relevant. Of course, we are also helped by technology these days so that you can easily go and
navigate easier.
Google or search to determine whether the content of what you have is in the body. But we are also value adding into these publications that we are giving. So sometimes you'll find a case has referred to a statute. You don't have to go and open another link. We create a link for you to that statute which has been cited. Another decision has been cited authoritatively, including foreign decisions. Those that are accessible to us, will publish and link it to you so that you can go
Prof,
and
I'm asking for, this is the Political Parties Act.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I just want one page.
Yes.
Tell me, this law is about this and this is what it says. Finish. Now, if I want to, you can be putting the hyperlinks.
Yes.
This law is about political parties. It mentions the register of political parties. Put a hyperlink that will take me into those sections. But just one page, tell me what this law is about, the main things that this law says, and then at least I get to know this is a law about political parties, about party nominations, about parties receiving money, about parties joining coalitions, about coalitions joining coalitions, all those things.
That is not part of our mandate, especially for laws. And generally, you will find the laws do provide in either Section 1 a short title and section 2 a long title or a definition section, where it will give you the objectives of that act and what they are intended to do and all that. So that is done at the drafting stage, so that when they come to us, it already has that part. So if you go and look at the contract laws, section 1 will already tell you this is an act of parliament to do 1, 2, 3 or 4 things. So we don't have to provide that. But for case law, we do.
Do you have a
give
mandate
you a summary
to then start publishing information just for regular consumption? So let's say that I go to the Twitter handle for Kenya Law,
Yes.
and regularly I'll be seeing, oh, there's a law called this, this, and the other, and this is what it provides. And
Yes, we are actually now
publishing.
doing that because we want to publicize to the members of the public. If you go to our social media, we'll tell you new decision on this particular aspect, new decision. Now we are doing that.
Okay.
So we are bringing it out, just giving hints that there's actually a decision. And it's helpful even to professionals because sometimes you may not be aware of all the cases that have been decided. So we pick these important cases that are coming up, BBI decisions and all that. We just give that hint and information. That's not an official work that we are doing. We are just helping people access this information.
Okay.
Yes.
In what circumstances do you think that then people would engage with this information? Who? Looking at members of the general public, who? Law students, professionals, civil society, who would be engaging regularly so that I know in whatever area that I am in, that this is a resource that can actually help me in 1, 2, 3 situations?
Principally, the people that we engage with are the legal professionals.
Okay.
We provide the principal service to the judiciary itself, because even the judges now will be able to access the information about decisions that have been made by other judges if they want to access a law. Now, a judge doesn't have to have a collection of books and go to the library. You access it through the Kenya Law website, and that is an official, citable, authoritative source. The lawyers also use that. Law students and scholars use that. But we are also tending now to move towards the public. Because you see, if you go to your lawyer and he tells you that this is as per provisions of contract law, as a prudent person. Now, I want to distinguish between prudence and a person of trade. You see, you as a lawyer, you are professional.
Yep.
You are held to a higher standard because you ought to know. But you as a member of the public, you're also duty-bound to just have knowledge about every. So you don't just go to your lawyer and tell him, I want these things without having looked at the contract. So we give you the law of contract. By the time he's telling you, a contract must have this, at the back of your mind, but I saw in the law of contract at Kenya Law that it requires this. So you can still even engage much more effectively with your lawyer, having had an interaction with these provisions. If he tells you the courts have already decided, then you can easily yourself go into those documentations and say, okay, I saw this, but I've also seen that there's a conflicting decision. What about that? Sometimes you can even help your lawyer be a good lawyer to represent you by having an access to this information. And that's what we are doing. Public accessibility of this information for us is important, so that you don't just leave it to the lawyers to do their thing. Sometimes lawyers may be...
They need to be wind assisted.
Yes. But if you know, if your lawyer knows this information already,
the likelihood of them to hoodwink you is lower.
It's lower.
Okay. Prof, there are very many times when you go into social media and you see information then circulating. For example, just the other day there was information about the traffic laws of Kenya.
Yes.
And whether the cows have right of way and whether you do have right of way. Remember, circulating on social media. Yes. Do you have the mandate to do those kind of things? Just distilling the law and sending it out there. Those things that are, of public interest. Traffic laws, laws on loitering and gathering.
Business licensing.
Licensing, marriage, divorce, matrimonial property, such, where you can just put it on a tweet. And if you are getting married, this is what the law says. If you are cohabiting with somebody I know this whole living for 2 years. I mean, that is considered legal. Is it no? Is it true? Is it true? Is it not? Maybe you can just come in and start saying, because you're picking these conversations from the public, and then putting that correct information out there.
The challenge we'll have with law is it's subject to interpretation. You give two lawyers the same thing, we will argue until the cows come back home or the chicken come home to roost. It is not always straightforward. So sometimes you do not want to engage on something that you may believe is the position, but which another person may find not to be the actual position. So we also like to be neutral, to allow for those debates and arguments, and that develops the law. But having said that, we also do nudge people. We don't give them as authorities, because you will come and sue me and say, Kenya law published and said this is a position of the Marriage Act, and I did this, and it went down south, and therefore they are responsible because they have given improper legal information. So we don't want to do that. But sometimes we throw out nuggets, tidbits, so that people know, there's this new marriage law that requires these new or which carry these new preconditions. So we just give them a nudge without necessarily authoritatively telling them this is the way it is, to also cushion ourselves against biases.
Let me ask you something. This work that you do, I am hearing a lot of reading, a lot of understanding, a lot of referencing.
Yes.
How many people do you have working with you?
That's the challenge that we currently have. We have 72 members of staff. Those who do the technical work, about 20. Now, technical work is quite immense. There's a Laws of Kenya department, which just deals with receiving the laws, updating. There's another mandate that we have been given. Under law, there's what we call annual supplements. Every time a law is changed, you need to also include those changes and reforms and amendments so that you update that law. And that is required to be done by annual supplement by the Attorney General. That mandate has been given to us by the Attorney General. So we do that. So essentially, we will have so many people dealing with annual supplement, so many people dealing with the laws of Kenya, and that is in the laws of Kenya section. Then there's the other section that is dealing with case laws. And remember, now we have counties. There are also county legislation that we need to report on. So we are really, really constrained in terms of manpower. Actually, our staff establishment shows that we require about 152 people, but currently we have 17. Of course, there is the support staff. 152.
Yes,
and we have 72 currently.
72.
Yes.
Less than half.
Yes.
You see, what it then means is that the very same, we've had similar stories with the judiciary.
Yes.
Where when we're told the caseloads that people have on a daily basis and what they have to deal with, we actually had to ask, so what time do you have for your own life? Because, and I'm going to ask the same question of you.
Sometimes you need to dedicate some bit of time to yourself. But having said that, I really have a very good team that I'm working with. They are very committed individuals and people. And that is why I've said it's one of the best organizations to even work at. People who really love this law and love the work that they are doing. Of course, my desire as their boss would be to create an environment that is much more facilitative, understanding how they have gone out of their way to do the things that they are doing. But they are really, really good professional people. And to their credit, most of them who go out of that organization find themselves in very good positions in other entities, both civil society, corporate sectors, because they have learned the ropes. You actually come in touch with these functions. Some of the best legal practitioners in the courts today actually have gone through Kenya law. Some of the best corporate legal minds have come through Kenya law because they have gotten that experience from there. Not just the interaction with the law, but even the work ethics. That's one of those things that probably the current generation need to be pushed or nudged to learn. That it's not always about me going to become a lawyer to make money. Sometimes there's that element of dedication, public service, passion towards what you're doing. And if you get them to do this, you'll get better professionals. And I can tell you, you name them, they have passed through our systems.
Prof, you are a professor of law. You've been a dean at the School of Law. So you've taught law.
Yes, I've taught law.
And now you've said the kind of wealth of knowledge and experience that people get when they go through Kenya law. Do you think it would be a good thing to say, let's say at university, one of the things that you will do is intern at Kenya law? Because you need manpower.
Yes.
And you need sets of eyes.
Yes.
Maybe intern at Kenya law, or pupillage should also happen at Kenya law.
Actually, currently we have 17 pupils interning
Why
with
only
us.
17?
Again, you see, the government does have those regulations. Previously, we used to get these interns as and when we need them. But now, because of the centralization in the system, we have to get them from the Public Service Commission. So when we have need, we will have to go through the Kenya Public Service Commission, and then they'll bring it to us. Now, it would not also be fair. You can imagine an intern comes to the organization and you can't facilitate them even with the transport because they are volunteering. So there are financial implications. Of course, there are limitations in budget in our organization. And that's why we have been thinking also of partners. If we can get people who are sponsoring us, then we can easily also bring in these people, give them this experience. We would probably, and some of those functions, you see, if you bring an intern, from Kenya School of Law, from a university, who is out for 3 months. You train them for a month, for a week, and you allow them to work for 2.5 months. They will learn the ropes. Our work will be done, and they have been very helpful, because otherwise we would not, with the 72 that we are talking about, and 20 being the lawyers now who do the technical work, we will not be able to manage all that, including the tracking of legislation that are going through the process. We are not just giving you the laws that are already made. We are not just giving you case law. We have to go to the counties, look at what the counties have enacted, bring them all.
It's broad.
So we bring these interns, and they do help us.
Okay.
They get the
Prof,
information.
allow me just to cut you short there and say goodbye to the audience on KTN Home who've been with us since the top of the hour. The conversations continue on SpiceFM around the country and on YouTube and Facebook. So as we conclude, Prof, as you leave, what message would you like to send out to the public today? People who have maybe interacted with Kenyan law, they did not know that was you. People who interact with you, they know who you are. But mostly for the people who do not know about Kenyan law.
What I would want to tell the public, part of the right to access information is also a duty of going out there. You know, you can take cows to the river, but you cannot force them to take the water. We will try as much as possible to make it as easy as possible to the members of the public to access this information. But I also want to encourage them. Have time to look at your cases. Don't leave it to the lawyers or the professionals to do it for you. Sometimes look at it yourself. The new constitution, or it's now 10 years in, 12 years in, we used to call it new constitution, does actually provide for a framework for people to be able to understand. So it requires that the information that we provide there are clear, are accessible, are not very technical. You can now go and look at those laws.
And you will find it.
And you will also understand it.
KenyaLaw.org. KenyaLaw.org. This is the portal that Prof is talking about. Professor Jack Muimali is the CEO and editor of the Kenya National Council for Law Reporting. We've been having him in the show. Asante sana for joining us.
Thank you so much.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire Dennis Aseto. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission has clarified that MCAs seeking higher elective seats should not resign by February 9th. However, the MCAs who wish to contest as members of parliament should resign before submitting the nomination papers to the returning officers. This comes after Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muthui, warned that MCAs aspiring to seek higher elective seats might miss the position if they do not resign 6 months before August 9th. While quoting the Constitution under Article 99, Clause 2, Paragraph D of the Constitution, a sitting member of County Assembly must resign 6 months to the election date. Muthui had referenced an ongoing case filed against Gatundu North MP Wanjigo Kibe by a rival Kumu Kaibiru, who was seeking to have her term terminated by the court on grounds that she failed to resign before the 2017 general election. Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi has said that President Uhuru Kenyatta has a right to pick his preferred presidential candidate in the August 9th election. The legislator said there was nothing wrong constitutionally for the head of state to throw his vote behind Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga. Speaking in Dagoretti South constituency, Wanyonyi explained that as president, Kenyatta has a duty to show Kenyans the way. As he waded into the Uhuru succession debate, he blasted Tangatanga Brigade led by Deputy President William Ruto for always attacking the president over his political choice. Beyond Zero and the Kenya School of Government have signed an agreement that will establish the Margaret Kenyatta Institute for Gender and Social Development. The MOU signed by the Kenya School of Government Director General Professor Ludeki Choya and the Beyond Zero Coordinator Angela Langat paves the way for the creation of the new institution to be located at the KSG's main campus at Luakabete. Speaking at the ceremony, First Lady Margaret Kenyatta said the collaboration between KSG and the Beyond Zero had opened a new opportunity for the two organizations to jointly promote Kenya's gender and social development agenda. Now, motorists plying the Muthui Kiambu Road 2 will be required to seek alternative routes for about 3 days beginning Saturday. A notice by the Kenyan National Highways Authority directed that the road would be closed over the weekend pending completion of some ongoing roadworks. As the authority pleads for inconveniences caused, motorists are implored to exercise road discipline, cautioning them to use the roads carefully. The UK government has announced a 4.7 billion shillings new funding for solar energy, forest reforestation and other nature projects in Kenya. Kase's solar project in Eldoret received 3.9 billion shillings of funding from UK-backed Emerging Africa Infrastructure Fund, driving clean energy in Kenya. When completed, the plant will improve access to energy for thousands of people and create up to 400 construction jobs, helping Kenya achieve 100% renewable energy by 2030, as announced by COP26 last year. The UK also announced 800 million shillings to restore deforested land in Kenya. And the Kiambu-based court will, on February 21st, rule whether it has the jurisdiction to hear a petition filed by some 2,500 families in protest of planned acquisition of 100 acres of the expansion of Mama Ngina University College in Mutomo, Gatundu South. The aggrieved families have sued the National Lands Commission, Mama Ngina University, Ministry of Education, Kenyatta University, and the Commission for University Education for failing to conduct public participation before allotting their land for compulsory acquisition. But NLC, through lawyer Gresham Thuo, sought the petition thrown out, arguing that the Environment and Land Court Thika had zero jurisdiction to hear the matter. Should the affected families fail to get satisfied with the decision of NLC, Thuo upheld that the families can seek redress at the Land Adjudication Tribunal. Now, Google has announced plans to expand rollout of its two-step verification security measure following a 50% decrease in account breaches after it auto-enrolled an initial 150 million Gmail and 2 million YouTube accounts to the program. Google's 2SVA requires a user to verify their identity via notifications sent to their mobile phones every time they attempt to log into their Google account from a different secondary device, such as in an internet cafe or at work. Failure to verify the mobile notification, the user will be denied access, thus creating an additional layer of security. Google is actively innovating technologies to make the authentication and login process for users as seamless as possible, aiming to ultimately phase out passwords. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM. Nairobi.
Still continues. Looks like we're going to have a late exit from traffic hour this morning. Jogoro is still doing its thing. Lunga Lunga. Likoni is free though. Not too much of an issue. Getting onto the southern bypass from that Likoni interchange will not be too bad this morning. Mombasa Road, however, still a problem here and it's jam-packed. We're looking at it moving very, very slowly from Sabaki. Folks who maybe were there an hour ago, they're all right now, but we still have some traffic then spilling over there. On Langata Road, a little bit better. Getting onto Raila Odinga Way, however, you will be stuck with some traffic and it's also looking better on the Thika Superhighway. So this is good things all around, Nespa? Yes, yes. Wayaki Way still doing the thing. Don't forget Red Hill Link Road to help folks out this morning. Half an hour or so we should be out of traffic hour and things should not be so bad. Just in case they are, or you find a good route that folks can use this morning, especially off Mombasa Road, do let us know on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It is
This
7
is the
minutes
Situation Room,
after 9.
the only
This
way
is
to
Kenya's
start
biggest
your day.
conversation. It is the Situation Room, and we're getting into the final hour of the show this morning, and we want to start with the day's proverb.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo. There's an editor who works at the Standard called Stevens Mwendo.
Okay. Steven Space.
Well, only that his is MU, not MW.
Different things.
Yes.
There's Mwendo.
Yes.
There's Mwendo.
Yes.
Do that again.
Mwendo.
Mwendo. Mwendo. And Mwendo. Stevens Mwendo.
And if you give it a certain tonal twist,
there's Mwendo.
There's Mwendo.
Okay.
Yeah. So what does it translate the proverb?
Well, thoughts or a thought is actually the father of the deed.
By the time it became a deed, it was nestled in your thoughts for a very long time.
Thought, deed.
Indeed. So, yes. Think, act.
Indeed.
Why do you think it is so often that people are told, this one acted before thinking? And the reason that people think along those lines is, you look at the consequence and you wonder, had they actually considered really that if they did this, the outcome might be what they're now dealing with? Yes.
Okay. Now, we are seeing people resigning from government left, right, and center in accordance with the law, provisions of the law that say if you are seeking elective office and you are a state public officer mostly, and state officer if you're serving in the cabinet, get out. At least 6 months to the election.
Yeah.
And go and concentrate on that thing and let the public know that you are not sitting there wasting their space. Let them deal with another way of filling that gap that you leave. And we have seen cabinet secretaries leave. Yesterday, Water and Sanitation CS Cicely Kariuki joined Charles Keter of Devolution, Aidan Mohammed of the East African Community and Regional Development, John Munez of Mining and Petroleum, who have quit the cabinet to go and campaign. All of these guys are seeking governor. Cicely Kariuki, Nyandarua. Charles Keter, Kericho. Aidan Mohammed, Mandera. John Munez, Turkana. PS's Hamadi Boga of Agriculture wants to be governor of Kwale. Joseph Irongo of Water and Sanitation wants to be governor of Murang'a. Fred Sigor of Irrigation. Where he want to be? Where is he vying? Sigor is eyeing Baringo. Right? They have quit. Regional Commissioner George Natembea quit. And now we've also seen Chief Administrative Secretaries, that's Assistant Ministers, Chris Obure, Ken Obura, Stephen Olentutu, Hassan Noor, Simeon Kachapin have left office. The Chief of Staff and State House, Nzioka Waita, has left. He wants to be the governor of Machakos.
Yeah.
Very many people, and now those are just the very senior people who we are reporting. You will find that there's somebody else who is just an administrative secretary or who works in public service who has decided to leave public service and go and seek elective positions. Right? Others who are leaving police service to go and seek elective position. Now the question is, when you have somebody who is a cabinet secretary or a principal secretary or a senior director in a ministry or chief of staff in the president's office, going into politics, is it because they have served the people in their places and they've seen, well, there's actually joy and satisfaction derived from public service. I am a CS. This is a president who's leaving office. My term ends when the CS leaves. When the president leaves. So I don't even know whether I'm going to be appointed CS by the next administration or what I'm going to do. One of the things that I want to do, because I've really enjoyed serving the people. My name is Aidan Mohammed. I have worked in the corporate sector. I have now gotten into public service. I have served the people. I have felt there's satisfaction. And there's something that happens when you serve the public. Let me go to Mandera and serve my people as their governor. Is it that? Is the motivation public service? Cecily Kariuki, I've come from the corporate. I have worked in, KTDA. I've gone into government. I've served the people as a cabinet secretary. Let me go to Nyandarua and serve the people. I understand the workings of government. I understand what needs to be done. And I come from Nyandarua anyway. I know the problems that we, the people of Nyandarua, have been suffering. And I can see a direct path towards providing a solution. Is it that, or is it what people have been saying on social media that, it basically is indicative that there is a lot of money and influence to be had when you join politics. When you get into elective politics, especially if you're a governor, you're controlling all this money. It's here with you. Hey, it's a gravy train. You're a member of parliament. You have all this influence. You can influence the contracts that come to you or to people who are aligned to you. Gravy train. Go to parliament, go to senate. So is the motivation public service or is motivation money?
How long do you want this discussion to take place?
Because we can end it
45
right
minutes.
now. It would be nice. It would warm my heart if we would say that the majority, or from perception, which is all right, because a lot of these things are about perception, right? It would be great if we would look at and say, you know what? The majority of the folks who are going into politics or who are looking for opportunity to then, serve the people, are doing that because they've seen that public service is their passion. Regardless of whether it pays them, they would go into public service, right? It would be nice if we would look at that. But unfortunately, as perception has presented and as the optics have shown historically, that a lot of people are doing this for personal and political expediency.
Historically?
What? Perception. Perception.
There's a historical perception that many people go into politics.
For a lot of people, that when you're looking at somebody going from one place to another, that they're doing it because they want to do better for themselves. Not about you, but you, public service, the citizens of the country. For a lot of people, it has been that what they see and they perceive to be is that people are doing this for their own personal gain and not for the public service of the people.
So this is a better paying job.
It's better positioned job for you to be able to get more, 1, 2, 3.
Money-wise or influence-wise?
Influence-wise as well. To do something that you have never done.
Influence is a good thing. Influence is not negative, really.
No, I didn't say that it's bad.
I mean, if you
I'm
come
just
in-
saying that it's not about you, it's about me.
It's always about, it starts with you. Ndu. I mean, if you think about it, even when you're talking about public service and all, you want to have to be in a position of influence so that then you can influence change. You want to be in a position of influence so that you can also, I mean, rise in the society's rank.
For yourself.
Yes. As a
what I'm
person, I want to be recognized here as an elder of this community. Okay? And as I do that, I'm also serving the people.
Yeah, but the public service is a means to an end at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you can balance. You
But
see,
what was your question?
The question is,
that are people doing it because they really have a heart for public service? Or are
Yes,
they
that's a question.
Are they really doing it because they say, you know what, I want to serve my people. I want to serve my constituency. I want to serve in terms of leadership. Or are they doing it because, you know what, my CV's got to read that, you know, I was a member of parliament, or that I was a governor, or that I was a senator, after having been a CS, after having been a regional commissioner, for example. I've done it. I've been able to rise up the ranks. Or is it really to serve the people? And I'm saying that for folks who are outside looking in, that it really does look like, unfortunately, the majority of those who do this are not necessarily doing it for public service, but are doing it for themselves. And that's what I'm saying.
Why are we limiting the options?
Expand them.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, why are we saying that either it is for themselves or it is for the public? Are we saying that you can't marry the two?
I'm saying you can.
You can't have your personal interest taken care of and at the same time serve the people.
You can. The question, though, is what's the balance?
Now, that's really tricky.
Is it 50-50? So, yes, because, look, even in career, when you're moving from one job to another, why are you doing that? It's personal. But is it personal, but you also have dedicated yourself that I will perform my duties?
That's what makes it possible for you to actually move.
Yes.
Yes.
I will go there, I'll do my job. The job that I've been given as this is the job description for the role that we are giving you, I will do my job the best way possible. But the driving force is, are you paying me better than these other guys? Are you giving me better conditions than these other guys? Am I going to be a better person than my peers? Am I rising? Am I going to be able to take my children to better school? Am I going to be able to get a better, health insurance package? All those things, it starts with you.
Yes.
So the question is the balance. Because maybe the perception, like you're saying, is that for many people, the balance is 98% you, 2%. Well, if in the course of satisfying me, there's some job gets done, and good.
I want to broaden this discussion further and actually ask something that in my mind seemed fairly simple, and yet when I look at the operationalizations of the functions of these elected leaders, I get the impression that it isn't as obvious as I think. Do these people who vie for this position really understand what is required of them when they get the job? Do they have a clear idea of what they should actually do? It's one thing to say, this is what I'm going to do. But do you know? Do you have an idea of what it takes to be able to do the things? Or is it one of these things that you enter the job, then you learn on the job?
Well, if you're leaving government, then you have an idea.
If you're leaving government, you have an idea, correct. But what is it that will actually give you an idea of what the job entails? What is it that you need to have done? For the longest time, our politics, when we got independence, was dominated by former teachers. And the reason is most former teachers worked in their own neck of the woods. People knew them. They were by far the most influential in many cases, by far the most educated. And they're the people besides the administrative staff of the government, they're the people who would listen, who people went to when they had issues that require resolving.
They were the community influencers.
Yes, so it made sense when people said, if you want someone to actually represent us, this person would be perhaps best suited. Now that has changed. Who are the people we now elect? What sort of people do we elect?
All sorts of professionals.
Precisely.
But I think it still has that element of what you've talked about. Are you a community influencer? Is there a connection with the community? Because that's how people are going to elect you. Yes. There's some connection in the community. Somebody is Wairago Wamai, right? The PS, George Wairago, for water. In Muranga, he is known as Wairago of water. Okay?
Just like the governor is known as
Mwangi of milk. Mwangi wa Iria.
Okay.
Mwangi of milk. That means that the people in the community had associated, yes, the work that you do as Mwangi. What was his name before he changed it officially?
I'm not.
The work that you do as Mwangi, working at KCC, right? We have seen you come here. Even before you went to KCC, you worked at EABL. We saw you were in this region and you were interacting with the people. There's work that you were doing. And then we actually got to associate you with this.
Right.
So as a community, you have influenced the community. You have a connection to the community. When you come back, that's how they're going to elect you. So whether you are a Hamadi Boga, who is PS for agriculture, but what have you been doing to engage and interact with the community? Now, the work that you've done as a principal secretary in government, you are the senior most civil servant in a ministry, means that you understand the workings of government. You know, so if I need things to move from here to here, the bureaucracy of government and how to structure it, you understand it. Gives you a leg up. If you are talking about understanding the role, you have also interacted as PS, you've interacted with governors, so you know the role of governor and the influence that a governor has both ways, downwards and upwards with the national government. You understand. That means they have then what it takes, I would say. They have what it takes
going on to the next
go and
point.
Look for this job.
Going on to the next point that they're making this step, then the question is, are they then aware, even with all their experience, are they aware of what this job demands of them in the next spot? Because very easy to say, I mean, after all, I've been the most senior officer in a ministry. This cannot be too hard for me. Surely I want to be the governor. It can't be that difficult. I've managed people. I've administered over things without realizing that the intricacies of that particular position could be very different from this that you've been working in before.
And more importantly, if you work for the government, there are checks and balances and you're not alone and you're not the ultimate boss. And even when you think you're boss, you're still not the ultimate boss. Okay? Whereas when you're talking about, say, specifically the position of governor, you are the ultimate boss. Yes. The decision that the president would make at the national government is now what you are making. And you even have more powers constitutionally than the president actually has constitutionally. That, are you ready for it? Because job, if you're talking details of administration and application of what needs to be done, that is not difficult for someone to fathom. But are you the sort of person who can manage the power that comes with this job? Are you the sort of person who can manage the influence, the finances at your disposal? Are you disciplined? Are you finely tuned into the nuances of what this job actually needs? Not building schools, building roads, talking. No, not that.
Yes.
What sort of person are you?
The taste of that pudding can only be in the eating.
That's very, very true.
The people will ask themselves those questions because they have various options. So yes, you Aidan Mohammed, you've come. Yeah. You worked in the banking sector. You have worked now in government. Yeah. But there's also somebody else who has worked elsewhere, maybe also in the banking sector. And both of you are asking us for the vote. The people will interrogate. Do we feel that this person actually understands the weight of the position? Do they have the wherewithal to navigate this? Do they have the wit to actually manage the people? Do they have everything? And that's what they'll use to say, really?
Perhaps.
We need this one. Let's. And then they get into office and they realize, oh my God.
And actually you have to ask another question, Eric. Really, is anyone ever prepared for it? Because these jobs don't sort of like tell you what to expect. You get there and that oh my God moment always arrives.
Yes.
It's like you think the president knew exactly what was going to happen when he became president and what the job would entail. No, he didn't.
Even Biden, after serving for 2 terms as vice president,
he couldn't.
He couldn't have told what he would face as president.
Yes. Governor cannot, it doesn't matter who you are, you cannot foretell how you are going to respond to many things when you get that job. Because that job comes with things that no one could have told you or explained to you, and nothing that you've done could have prepared you for it. If, say, President Uhuru wanted to be governor of Kiambu, I would say he's prepared for it.
Right, because he's done the whole country thing. He kinda gets the beat.
This one he gets very, very, very easily.
Yeah.
But mwananchi mtukufu, even CEO of an organization, and you want to be governor, you're actually not. What I'm saying is, you're not prepared. You only think you're prepared.
How would they then be prepared as opposed to just jumping into the deep end?
Experience is the best
Exactly.
teacher.
You jump into the deep end and then you figure out if you're going to sink or swim, right?
Yes.
But without that, you can just only speculate. Even when you're going for a job interview and they ask you, how do you... Because I did 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe I am best suited. You know, all that jargon. I am best suited because I have done 1, 2, 3. But the truth of the matter is that until and unless you are in that position on a daily basis, figuring out all the intricacies that go along with it, I will
Actually,
not
this
know.
one, you are right, because
Yeah.
this one you actually can't do on your own. That's where the checks and balances in systems come in. They are the ones that help keep you on the straight and narrow. And a constitution helps. Laws that govern county systems helps, because human nature being what it is, that level of power that these positions give you, it doesn't matter who you are. The temptation to be corrupted is so large and so huge that unless there are checks and balances that steer you, you want to go on a certain path and they'll tell you, no, you can't do this.
But then there's also the point that somebody who may be on the outside, because we're talking about the outside of the system really, and says, you know what, I'm going to go in and I am going to stop corruption. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that all these people who are taking whatever...
They actually mean what they're saying.
They mean it. Wait.
Then they get there.
Now, when you put your foot into the water is when you realize, my Lord, this water is cold. Right?
Even this is what it involves.
I'm telling you.
You told likely, when you do this, let's just explain to you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, the way you're going. This and this and this and this and so on. So
You
who
trigger
know.
these dominoes.
The one who you've just been talking with.
You know that guy who sponsored you for this and this and this and this. You're given the entire spectrum of what you suddenly realize, goodness, why didn't someone warn me about this?
Yes.
Because it's certainly not as easy as you thought it would be. Yes.
But back to the question of the day, which is public perception again. Are these people leaving office, government office, to go seek elective office? Are they going to do so because they want to serve the public, or are they going to do so because they want the power and the money that comes with the positions that they're seeking?
What takes precedence? Power and money.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes, but you can't say, folks, vote me so that I can have power and money.
Of course, you can't say that.
That
you must
won't
dress
fly.
it up a little bit.
Okay? Vote me in so that I
I can come and serve you,
Yes.
represent you,
Yes.
take your issues that you've been facing over the last, how many decades. I will be the one who, at the end of the day.
I want to move it a little bit lower than the CS. Because you see, CS has power currently, okay? We can say the CS has had power. The CS has had the influence. The CS has had access to money. The CS is paid very well. Let's go lower, into the lower cadres of civil service. And somebody has quit their job as a director of something, somewhere in a public service.
Like this fellow,
Right?
for example, in Kakamega, who has left as the sports executive in the county and wants to run for Mumia's East MP.
Yes. Is it Pesa? Or is it, you know what? I actually believe that the problems I have served as executive in Mumias, and I have seen the challenges of getting things done. Starts from national lawmaking. Starts from the interaction between national and county governments. It goes into the kind of relationship that the national government has with the county government. And I want to be part of the change. I want to influence change. And let me go in there. I don't want to sit back here and say, Hatta, these people who are working in county. Yeah, my friend, they cannot do anything. I want to go there and say, the next person who will be a CO in my county will have a better job because I'll have gone up there and unlocked. Is that not possible? That there are many people who are basically saying, I know what the challenges are, and I'm like, I want to be part of the solution.
Okay. It would be nice if a lot of these decisions drew their inspiration from such a situation. It would be nice. But I'm just saying that unfortunately it does not appear as though they have this self-reflective moment over the last 9 months of their administration and say, you know what? This work that we do here, if only I was at a higher position, that's where we would see changes happening. Sorry.
Eric, you know what messed up? This discussion was muddied a lot earlier. There was a time when people who went to this sort of service, you didn't even need to wonder. You'd say, no, this person actually wants to help.
They don't even say it.
Because the benefits and remunerations were dismal. So you'd wonder, why does somebody want to get in that? So the only thing that made up for it was perhaps the influence, the name, the razzmatazz that goes with it.
Yes.
But in terms of financial gain as such, you could do a lot better than going there. Then the stakes were raised. Suddenly, pay good, perks good,
and more
pension
perks.
good, and everything else that goes with it
Good.
better, best.
Plus a title to boot.
Precisely. And then everything changed, and committees were no longer committees. Committees were cartels. Okay? And suddenly,
Committees were collection points.
Yeah, precisely. So, what took center stage in all these matters was somebody may have had a basic interest, but the real judge of it is the public. Because any time you participate in public activities, you help in this, you will be asked, so where are you standing? They will ask you.
Unataka kitu gani?
Yes. If you seem to spearhead discussions around public good, you'll be asked.
Yes.
So when are you standing? It was understood that everything you're doing is a job application.
Yes,
Okay.
Here, all these things you're telling us.
Job application.
What do you want?
Yes.
So let's just cut to the chase.
Tell us.
Unataka kitu gani?
Kitigani. So that we know. and they themselves, the public, would judge because they are aware. They'll tell you, Dani, that one, just go for this other one.
Hiyo tunapatia so and so.
So, yeah,
Wewe chukua hii.
Yes. So
let's take a break.
Let's.
Mohammed Olie, Moran of the Burning Spear in Riyadh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Good morning. He says, keep going, guys. Asante sana. Naomi says, you guys are missing the elephant in the room. It's not about what the job is and whether it's for personal gain. It's how they get that position and influence that comes with it and what they do with it. The corrupt practices around elections, bribing, rigging, underhanded tactics. Then when you're in office, how you manage the public resources and whether you use them for personal gain. That's corruption. What we should be asking is whether these are people of integrity who are there to serve the people with good intentions. Good point. Are they people of integrity who actually have good intentions to serve the people, or are they going to protect their ill-gotten wealth by actually getting into parliament? You have formed a protection ring around yourself. Let's hear from you as well. 0719 012 600, 27 minutes to 10.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Sunny conditions at 22 in Nairobi, highs of 27, lows of 16. In Nakuru, sunny at 20, highs of 28 and lows of 14. 11 will be the low in Nyeri, where it's sunny at 18. And in Eldoret, sunny at 19, highs of 26 and lows of 11. Continues to rain in some parts in Mombasa at 29, highs of 32 and lows of 25. While in Malindi, raining as well at 29, highs of 31 and lows of 26. Looking at mostly sunny conditions at 25 in in Kisumu, highs of 29. And we'll see highs of 30 in Kakamega, where it's mostly sunny at 25. Mostly sunny conditions at 25 in Kampala, highs of 26 and lows of 21. It's mostly sunny at 28 in Dar es Salaam, highs of 31 and lows of 26. Johannesburg is sunny at 21. We'll see highs of 26. And in Lagos, the sun is up and it's quite cloudy at 26, highs of 33 and lows of 25. It's raining in Kinshasa at 24, highs of 34. Let's look out into Beijing, where it's 10 degrees and sunny going into early evening. Highs of 11 and lows of -3. Cloudy conditions at 6 in Paris. Highs of 9 and lows of 2. London will see lows of 1 today. It's currently clear at 7 and it'll go to highs of 9. And New York coming into early Thursday. 4 degrees. Highs of 12. Lows of 0. The cusp of
Spice up
our ending, and it looks like there's still some traffic here and there on the Thika Super Highway just past Pangani. Kiambu Road is looking much better. Limuru Road still in and outbound traffic. Wayaki Way moving slowly towards the city. Langata Road still doing its things, folks. I'm sorry about that, but it should be all right in a short while. Gong Road looking better. At least you can get through without too much of a hiccup. Lunga Lunga, since the beginning of this week, has been having a thing. Not quite sure what's causing that. It's also looking better on Mombasa Road today. So, after traffic hour, we should be all right. Yes, yes. Talk to us through the morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Hear from you, 0719-012-600. Very many people leaving public service to go and seek elective office. What is attracting them into elective office? Is it because of the knowledge of what these elective offices do in terms of influencing change and helping the machinery that is government to work? That's some people have, worked in public service for so long. An example, let's say, somebody worked in public service, worked in the ministry, let's say, of planning, and they drew up plans, or worked in the Ministry of Agriculture. They came up with this whole idea of how to address food insecurity in the country. Let's roll out a program like the Galana Kulalu, or let's roll out a program like the one of warehouse receipting system. And you present it to your bosses in the ministry, and they say, brilliant, come present it to cabinet. You go present it to cabinet like, brilliant. We need a policy for this. It takes 10 years. Warehouse receipting, never moves. And then you see this thing is getting stuck somewhere on the political chain, not on the bureaucratic chain. So let me go into the political chain so I can unlock it for the benefit of the people. Or is it because you have seen that public service, elective office is an enterprise? It's an enterprise where you get in. Number one, you are protecting yourself. People who have corruption questions around them, people who have, questions of integrity around them, they get elected, and it becomes more difficult for the investigative agencies, the law enforcement agencies, the Director of Public Prosecutions to push through their prosecution. People who are accused in drug cartel, whatever, mafia house, seek elective office so that you create a ring and a layer of protection for yourself, for all the ill-gotten wealth when you are serving in that ministry, the kind of connections that you did. So you're going there to protect yourself, to protect the wealth that you actually made. Or you've actually, when you were working in public service, you started this very nice enterprise, and you have it. It's a pipeline that is bringing you money. So you go into elective office to protect the pipeline. Is it all those things, like the very negative things that we've just talked about, or is it the positives?
There are many people who resign who by virtue of their positions, much as they may have wanted to be corrupt, didn't really have that opportunity to be corrupt. Or the corruption that they were involved in was pocket change type corruption, okay? But opportunities to amass huge amounts of money depends on the position you had and how much influence that position has and what you're willing to do. Now, we are discussing the ethos of this nation, and we're discussing how it is people who vie for position view public office, how they view elected office. There are people who get into government with a very clear understanding that you'll move up and ensure that you're in a certain position because that is where you can actually have an opportunity to make ill-gotten gains. Okay? They understand it. The majority just go about their business and this thing finds them along the way. Because one of the things about the corruption system in this country, and that's why it has lasted, it's because there is an understanding from what I have gleaned that ill-gotten gains work best when they're shared.
Indeed. Look, if it was purely about what you can do then for public service later, look at what we have in this circus before people go into elections and declaring the positions for which they are running. Look at what we talk about, now the negotiations are happening. If I join you and you become president, for example, we will share the government. From my side, you will give us 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Does it sound like it's something that is being fueled by the desire to serve the public? Clearly not. Because we know that closer to the seat of power, there are certain measures of influence, there are certain perks that come along with it. If it was purely about serving the people, if those decisions were made to serve the people, do you think people will be scrambling for this sharing and partaking of government later? Should I join you? It's just one example. And unfortunately, the perception is not that people have this innate desire to continue working. And please, let's go and serve the public together. Unfortunately, it doesn't. There may be few people who are like that, but truth be told, they don't have to announce it. It will be clear to everybody that, you know what, this person is actually working. It will be clear. It will be clear that this person now wants to move on to a place where they can do it more. You don't have to look for the answer. It'll be clear as day.
But unfortunately, like you're saying, the system is rigged. It's a corrupt system.
To pre-favor you.
The way the whole elective system is corrupt. And the enabler is the voter, is a citizen.
There's no question there.
So even a person of good intentions who wants to come, and seek to be elected, they are coming into this other system. All right? Mpigambizi, Sharti, Azame. You want to get into this thing, you have got to immerse yourself into it. You're coming with good intentions, it doesn't matter. You've got to immerse yourself into this pond.
You're going to spend the money.
Yes. You will be asked for money. You will face all these things for you to even stand a chance of winning. Start with your political party. Jubilee Party, for example, today has a full-page advert in the papers, and they're saying, so you want to vie in the next election? Please come. Let me read the advert, shall I?
Please.
Does your heart beat for Kenya? This is Jubilee asking. Why are you laughing, Bwana?
Sorry.
Okay.
Jubilee Party is asking you, does your heart beat for Kenya? Do you feel passionately about the economy of our country and the equitable sharing of resources amongst Kenyans? Do you abhor corruption? Don't laugh. Come on.
Eric, continue. Please ignore this naysayer.
Do you abhor corruption? Are you a peacemaker? The Jubilee Party is looking for like-minded Kenyans to partner with.
Like-minded? Like-minded as what? Sorry.
See, people like all those things. People whose hearts are beating for Kenya.
Okay.
People who are passionate about the economy.
And they paid someone to come up
equitable
with
sharing of resources, abhorring corruption, peacemakers. Jubilee Party is looking for like-minded Kenyans to partner with on the road to a stronger economy and a more just society. The party invites you to register as a member and submit your application for nomination before the 4th of March this year. All applications should be made through the Jubilee Party website, jubileeparty.ke. Now, how much? You want to be governor? You want the Jubilee ticket to be governor? 500,000 shillings.
Only.
What does 500,000 give you?
A chance to participate in the nominations.
It doesn't guarantee you nothing. It doesn't
If you're a
guarantee
man.
you nothing.
If you're a man, 500,000 shillings. If you're a woman, you're not safe. You pay 250,000 shillings. If you are youth, that's 35 and below, 125,000 shillings.
Read that again, please.
Person living with disability, you don't pay anything.
Start that again.
You're a man. You want to participate in the Jubilee Party nominations to be given the ticket for governor. 500,000.
Okay.
Woman, 250.
If you're a woman wanting to participate in,
You want to
be governor.
You want to be governor, and you want to get the Jubilee ticket.
Rebate 250.
Okay. Youth 125.
Okay.
If you want to be senator, man 250, woman 125, youth 50, MP man 200, woman 100, youth 50, woman rep man 0, obviously. Woman 200,000, woman youth 100,000.
Okay.
MCA 50,000 for man, 25k for woman, youth 15,000. This is for you to be a candidate for nomination as a Jubilee aspirant.
And guarantees you?
It guarantees your name on the ballot.
It is
in the
admission.
nominations.
It is for admission,
It's admission.
only. Yes. And it's not an open bar.
And it's non-refundable, obviously. Yes. Yes. So already you start from there. And then if you get the ticket, IBC will be, now you have the ticket. For us to gazette you as the candidate, bring. They'll tell us how much. Okay? For all these positions. Now you tell me. It's already starting from there, all those things. Now you can ask what I mean. Does it make sense for a party to ask for the money? Of course, that's how the party mobilizes cash to finance the campaigns and all. Blah, blah, blah. But you see, it's already rigged. When people go in there and they are saying, I want to focus on basically delivering and not, hand out, nini. The people come back and ask you, lakini wewe, this passion of yours, hatukuli passion.
Sasa zingine tunakula passion.
Tunaweza panda passion yetu. Hatukule passion. So when we say that these people who are living public service, and you're asking yourselves, are they persons of high integrity who are living public service to actually go and serve the people directly? Or are they people who are corrupt, who are living public service to go and exploit that system for their own benefit? Which is which? God. And how can you tell?
Eric, this entire conversation gets to the heart of what we are as a people. Not what these leaders are. Because I remember a time when we'd look at other countries and people would talk about corruption and label anybody who came from such countries as corrupt. Little did I know that we would get to a point where if it were a race, we are among the gold medal contenders. Where it's like everything we touched is tinged with a certain element of, what you can best describe as corruption. To the point where right has been accepted as not right and wrong has been accepted as right. And anyone who has a position of authority or a position where they can wield some power and doesn't benefit financially from it is actually considered a fool. It may not be told to your face. So that these people who are vying didn't wake up today and started their vying. They are in a job, they lobbied, they made sure they got there with a clear understanding that they will want to vie for a certain position, and they've been amassing war chests for that very purpose. The decisions that they make, everything has been geared towards that.
Yes.
So how do you sift it and then say there are individuals who are not only clean of heart, but clean of habit and
desire and passion
corruptively
to serve.
How do you even distill this? How do you get to the point where you can distill and determine that this is the sort of person?
In this
Are
crocodile
you saying
and
that
shark
it's
infested
impossible
water,
for us to tell?
I am saying it's next to impossible.
It's that difficult for us to actually look and see.
It is that difficult because even from among ourselves and those of us who are not seeking any of these elective posts, we ourselves gear ourselves up with wide open mouths, anticipating that people who are coming to campaign will benefit us in one way or the other.
and drop something into the mouth.
Yes. You know, we are talking about people who are in government. What about people who are in the private sector? If you look at the positions that they have held, you wonder, you suddenly say, no wonder this particular institution had so many problems.
And that's why you have institutions that then have labels, like Mafia House, for example. Where do you think that came from? Consistent compounding of a particular narrative, but not just a narrative, in action. Why
you can
is it
feel
public?
it and see it.
All
Even the CS says, he knows.
Just
Why?
take a random sample of some of the parastatals we have that are considered lucrative. In the energy sector, in the water sector. Just think and pinpoint the individuals who have worked in these sectors up until
and they moved into politics.
And they moved into politics.
What do
And
you
ask
expect?
yourself, and align that to and you'll find what aligns with them. The problems those institutions have had are many.
Yes.
And then, so what do you think when you see that happening? You say, okay. So all this drama that was happening at this level, this individual now wants to graduate now to major disruption. What do you think that now you see that drama happening at that institutional level, and now this person wants to run for higher office? Say, actually, you know what? This individual actually is really interested in serving the people and wants to take public service up a notch.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It's possible, for you to all be in the public sector. Yes, there's all these corruption stories of, mafia house. There are cartels that operate in mafia house. But if you have a mega scope of ideas of how you can run Nairobi City,
and you didn't do them in mafia house.
Yeah, you don't work for there, but you are a private sector.
At that point in time.
But when you look at the ideas that you have, they are mega. It's a scope of mega ideas of what you can do as governor of Nairobi. What do you do, Suvai?
Even if
you mean well.
Eric, you do have a valid point. And even if you do all this, the truth of the matter is there's always a consistent component in our electioneering. At the level of campaign, people must feel they resonate with you. Your money alone is never a guarantee. And when I say people must resonate with you, it means you as an individual, yes, to some degree. The party you are vying with is accepted in that particular community, and that in itself is the wind assistance that you will need in addition to your own personality. So the real race that we speak of is not the election, it's nomination.
It's the nomination. Let's go to the phone lines. Kerry in Lavington, good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I think it's an American journalist, George Jean, or something, who said bad government officials are elected by good citizens who do not vote. And I believe in this country have good people who either they don't want to get onto, they don't want to vote or they don't want to contest. Because as City said there, if you are a candidate and you want to bring a passion to serve the public, I tell you, nobody will listen to you even for a minute. I organized a forum for contestants for MCA in Kawangware, where I expected people to come and give their views on what they will do once elected as MCA. And I sat there to listen to what the people, to what the ideas of the contestants were. I can assure you, whoever gave the best proposals for how he's going to make the county government accountable to the people of Kawangware, whoever gave the best proposals on how women and children, women and the vulnerable in society can be well taken care of, was never elected. But the guy with the worst character among the four was the one who was elected just because he had the ability to give out a handout. And I can assure you today to contest any seat in Kenya is very, very expensive because the largest budget in your campaign is handout. It's not what you have in your head.
So the enabler for corruption and lack of integrity is the voter.
It's the voter. It is never these leaders. It is the voter. And that is why when somebody gets into public office, the best thing they can do is steal. Because if you don't steal and you go back home, the society laughs at you. You've been in public office. What did you do? You don't have a car. You don't drive. You've not built a good house. So even if it was me and you who know what to do best in this country, when you go back home and there's that pressure for even from your own relatives and they're laughing at you and they say, look at him, how many people has he employed in government?
Hata bibi yake anavaa raba.
Hata bibi yake anavaa raba na watoto wake ona. So it is the pressure, unless we increase civic education. Like I would like to congratulate you and SpiceFM in general, because this kind of discussions is what will make, at least today, this morning, 2 or 3 people will change their mind, and when they see somebody coming, a contestant coming, and he gives them handout, they will refuse, because they will tell themselves that is not the kind of person I want. So these kinds of discussions are good. Even we should never lose hope. Let us talk about it. At least we will change 2 or 3 people, and in 5, 10 election cycles, we'll find the right leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you very much. There's a lot of work that we ought to do as the citizens. Even as we sit back and, we look at, this year this year is just coming to protect. They ameiba. Sasa nakuja kuingia bunge ndio endelee kuiba.
Do you know the campaign that I saw, a genuinely effective campaign against handouts, was in the days when SDP, NDP were coming into power. One party state had but political parties were being given a hard time. And the requirement to have a rally was to get a chief's letter. God knows, Aki, you would never get those things, which means you could never hold a meeting. So in my neck of the woods, what they decided to do was to attend funerals. You've heard me say this before. And the message was consistent. It was choreographed beautifully. Kuomboleza, pole, so and so, blah, blah, blah. However, so this is a very difficult thing. We are going to do what we can. There's something we need to tell you. But there are people who've come with money here, and you don't seem to understand this. The person's not helping you. He's giving you your money. And they call it taxpayer. Okay? So this money is taxpayers' money. It is your money.
Just take it.
Precisely. Now, it started off so that anyone who came and appeared to have money, all someone needed to label you as a Kanu mole. Haki, you're finished. Even if you don't even know where Kanu resided, you don't even know where Kanu lives. But that alone, the stigma was so effective, it worked. There are people who lost possible positions simply because they were labeled Kanu mole. That's it. Now, I don't think those who were purveying this message had understood what they had actually set in motion. Because up to that time, people didn't expect you to give them anything. They expect you to talk to them. If they came to your home, they expect you to give them some porridge, some maize and beans. It was good enough. What you'd give visitors if they came to visit you. We now have this monster. Yes, and here we are.
Indeed. Let's keep these conversations going, as Kerry says. And let's also keep talking about how to protect our children online as they consume the internet.
Sure. So the question is, how do you keep your kids safe online? It's not just your kids, your little ones that you have around you. The CA has launched Cyber Soldiers. It's a new game. It's interactive, and it's teaching kids how to recognize threats and vulnerabilities online. So there's some tips that you can use to protect your child from cyber bullies. Teach your child online responsible behavior, including the proper ways to interact with people and the use of language online, kind language more so, whether addressing a friend or a stranger. Keep the mean or threatening pictures, messages, or texts as evidence when you take this to a body such as school or the parents, where the matters can be addressed.
Yes, and you can get more information by just going to the Communications Authority website, www.ca.go.ke. That's www.ca.go.ke. CT, say goodbye with the day's proverb.
Mbinu hufuata mwendo.
In English?
Thoughts are the father of deeds.
Okay. So let's think about leaving the studio and come back tomorrow morning. Those thoughts will be the father of the deeds. Because now we are leaving the studio. Voila. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Have yourselves a lovely day. It's 10 o'clock.
spice up your life. The latest news